I feel like I have talked about this in every language known to mankind. It's because it's fun to hate the fat girl. Not only that, but it's fun to hate Amberlynn. It's fun to call her a liar. It's fun to create rumors around her. It's fun to nitpick. There has been a whole community of people that have created this safe environment for them. Safe for them, not for me. And that's just been like literally my life on YouTube for years now. It's like I try to stay away from drama. I try to just vlog my life and share my life. And somehow, some way, things start happening online that like I have to put out, and it's a fire that I didn't even start, and it's just like frustrating. And they're attacking the fat chick. Everyone else in the world can be normal humans and make all the mistakes, and that's okay. Yes, there will be judgment, but like me, I will make the same mistakes and people will attack me for a decade about something I did a decade ago. It's never gonna change.
Number 1. Economically abusing Beck. Oh, we're coming in hot with this one. After pressuring Beck into a relationship because Beck wasn't making moves fast enough for her, Amber moved into Beck's house that they shared with 2 roommates. Amber was actually making very good money from YouTube at this point, enough to support the couple on her own. So, Amber convinced Beck to quit their job so they can do YouTube together, and Beck could spend more time with family, which all seemed fine, except Amber then used this to financially control Beck over the next 4 years, constantly reminding Beck that they worked for her. And when Beck finally ended the relationship, they had nothing in the bank. Amber gave them a couple $100s or so when they moved out, but when Beck came to her crying, expressing concern that it might not be enough for the U-Haul and gas, Amber just laughed, and then demanded Beck send her some money back for their Netflix account shortly after, might I add. Amber's recent response to this was that Beck had full access to all the money at all times, but it appears as though that was only in the beginning of the relationship, because Amber didn't have her own bank account and needed to join Beck's. And if the money was indeed shared, how was Beck left so destitute when they moved out? Beck claims that Amber gained control over the shared account and then opened her own separate account, where she then started depositing her YouTube money into. Number 2. Pissing away her money. Despite refusing to give Beck their proper portion of YouTube earnings, because bills, Amber certainly appeared to spend an excessive amount of money on herself, on hauls, on food, on endless hordes of collections of incredibly useless things. Looking back, Beck suspects that Amber spent what she made, which is insane to me considering she was likely making over $10,000 a month over this period. If she had paid Beck, then I would say that Amber earned that money fairly and can spend it however she wants as an adult. But this is not the case. Amber has made over $1 million from YouTube, and if I had to guess, likely within a 5-year period or so. For comparison, at my current full-time retail job, it would take me over 20 years to earn $1 million. Life is cruel. Number 3. Falsely diagnosing herself. This woman has been on YouTube for well over a decade now, and over the years has claimed to be diagnosed with damn near everything under the sun. It began very early on when Amber claimed to be diagnosed with ASMR. She later brushes this off as a mere troll, but she didn't have a following to troll at the time, proving that this is a lie. Since then, she has claimed to be diagnosed with various disorders that she seems to find trendy, aesthetic, or just convenient. When she was with Crystal, who was allegedly diagnosed with OCD, Amber constantly brought up her OCD. When Amber was besties with Alexis, who was officially diagnosed with BPD, Amber then claimed that she had BPD, and currently uses this one as the main excuse for her abhorrent behaviors. Misdiagnosis certainly happens, but both Beck and Alexis claim that Amber used Google searches and AI chatbots to repeatedly diagnose herself falsely, as she often refuses to see a professional for an appropriate amount of time. Because of this, we have no idea what she has actually been diagnosed with, if anything at all. Number 4. Filming others without their consent. I must admit, she has gotten better with this one over time, to an extent. However, for many years, she would constantly film people without their consent. Not only certain partners who told her that they didn't feel comfortable being on camera, but she also filmed co-workers while on the clock, as well as acquaintances she didn't even know that well, and even young children. which is the worst by far. Number 5, oversharing her mother's business. So, as we all know, because Amber will never let us forget, Amber had a very unfortunate childhood, as her parents were both drug addicts. And her siblings had to be put into the foster care system because of the dangerous environment and neglect. To be crystal clear, Amber's mother has done some very awful things, even throughout Amber's adulthood. Thankfully, in recent years, it seems that she has finally turned things around for herself and takes accountability for her past choices wholeheartedly, as she continues to try to build a relationship with her daughter and make up for all the lost time. She feels immense guilt and blames herself for Amber's current state. However, Amber will seemingly use any opportunity to bring up her mom's past while sharing way too much with the audience. I think her mom just takes it because she feels forever in Amber's debt, understandably, and Amber will likely always have resentment deep down, which is also understandable. It still just rubs me the wrong way though, and I can't help but wonder if Amber is jealous of the fact that her mom chose to heal while she didn't. Number 6, accusing reaction channels of fat phobia. So Amber likes to accuse most people who are critical of her in any way of simply being fat phobic, especially reaction channels. What I find the most ironic about this is that she fails to realize that many of her biggest reactioners were once obese themselves. Charlie Gold, Kicking Geese, Oh Lordy It's Jordy, all of whom have lost a significant amount of weight. Shit, Michael B. Petty had bariatric surgery twice. This is likely why they were drawn to Amber's channel in the first place, because they relate to an extent and want to help her succeed in the beginning. They then quickly realize how careless she is, and their hopes diminish over time. At this point, it looks like all hope is lost in the community. Number 7, filming and monetizing a child's grave. During the Destiny era, we learn that one of Destiny's closest friends tragically lost their child in a horrific accident. After the couple moved to Kentucky, Destiny wanted to visit the child's resting place and pay respects, and Amber accompanied her. After filming the two of them dancing in the car on the way there, Amber decides to continue filming at the gravesite itself. She then posted it online to monetize, in complete disregard of the family's privacy. She would also answer questions regarding the child's death on Ask FM, which was also incredibly inappropriate. Number 8, refusing driving lessons and public transportation. I've come to the conclusion that Amber is one of the laziest people on this platform, and despite claiming multiple times in the past that she is going to learn how to drive, especially when her and Jade got together, she never did, and at this point, likely never will. Personally, I dealt with very bad driving anxiety myself and didn't get my license until I was 21. But instead of holding it off further and making more excuses, I paid for driving classes with a professional in order to get past my fear. And it worked. Now, some people can't drive for medical reasons but can still have independence by using ride services and public transportation. Amber could also use these so she doesn't have to convenience her family and friends whenever she wants to go to Walmart. But alas, it seems that the only ride service she uses is for her takeout being delivered to her. Number 9, has people drive her from state to state. Sadly, it doesn't end with the drives to appointments and Walmart, as Amber also currently refuses to fly, and everyone around her just owes Amber the world, in her mind. Therefore, whenever she is moving after a breakup with her girlfriend, or visiting a long-distance new girlfriend, she needs to be driven there. After Jade broke up with her, she had to drive Amber from Kentucky to Oklahoma, after feeling bad that Amber asked Alexis, who lives in Wisconsin, to pick Amber up in Kentucky and drive her to Oklahoma. Then, when Amber started dating Emily, who lives in Wisconsin, Amber's mother drove Amber from Oklahoma to Wisconsin, and Emily had to drive Amber back to Oklahoma months later. My theory is that the only reason Amber became friends with Alexis again while in Wisconsin was to be in her good graces in case Emily broke up with her and she needed a ride home. Number 10, Wipegate. And now we must bring up Wipegate. God bless those who are disabled or injured and need bathroom assistance, and God bless those who help them. I am in no way shaming anything of that nature, but this is not the case with Amber. Rumors began circulating that Beck had to wipe Amber during their relationship, but Amber claims only after her hysterectomy, which is fine, Then, Beck made it known that it had been going on previous to the surgery until the day they dumped her. To make matters worse, according to Beck, when Amber would attempt to do it herself, she used washcloths, which is also fine if that's the best way for her to do it on her own. I don't really want to think about it. However, what people are mad about is the fact that she allegedly defiled the washcloths that belonged to their roommate's deceased mother and then threw them away, and then tried to lie about it when questioned. Then, when she had to start buying her own washcloths, she made Beck wash them in the sink. Why couldn't Amber do that part herself? Then, after Beck broke up with her, Jade immediately moved in, and there's no way in hell Amber was asking Jade to do that right off the bat. The outrage here is due to the fact that Amber didn't always need Beck to do it, but she preferred that Beck did. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where the problem lies. The fact that she had to inconvenience Beck when it was no longer necessary, when there are various tools available for her needs, and at one point, knowingly ruining someone else's valuables and then lying about it. Number 11, charging $10 a month for nothing. In more recent events, Amberlynn began offering YouTube memberships for $10 a month, where she provides members with a 2-hour live stream once a week. I sure as hell am not a member, but from my understanding, during these exclusive streams, Amber is texting on her phone for an inappropriate amount of time, taking interventions where she aims the webcam at the ceiling. And as soon as the timer she set goes off, she seems so relieved the time is finally up so she can end it. $10 a month. That's almost a Spotify subscription. That's nearly YouTube Premium. All for this. If people were giving me nearly $3,000 a month for live streams, where I didn't have to go to my retail job anymore, I would at the very least put my damn phone down and pay attention to the people throwing money at me. But hey, to be fair, if people want to pay for this, then that's their decision. And if you're like me and refuse to pay for that, don't worry. Amber is adding the most interesting clips from the streams to her YouTube videos for free, likely to lengthen her videos so she can get more ad placement. Number 12, aiding in breaking up a marriage. I've talked about this multiple times on my channel, so I won't elaborate too much here. In short, Amber was knowingly the other woman in her somewhat recent long-distance relationship with Erica, and aided in breaking up their marriage. Yes, both members of the couple had their hands in it as well, especially Erica. However, Amber tried to explain to her audience that because she thought the marriage was on the rocks, and because she was allegedly told that the two were together for financial reasons, that what they were doing was okay. No matter how you slice it, it was certainly not okay. Number 13 was knowingly Destiny's other woman. The fact of the matter is, Amber has cheated a handful of times. I'll elaborate on other specific instances further down the list. But here, let's point out when she first got with Destiny. Destiny was engaged to another woman, and when Amber found out, she continued talking to Destiny and proceeded to immediately move to Florida to live with her. Yes, Destiny is to blame for the cheating here, of course, but to knowingly be the other woman is also indeed vile in my book. And to repeatedly claim that you're a different person, all to do the same damn thing nearly a decade later, is also vile. Number 14, asking Mama Lynn for triggering favors. Amber uses her mother's guilt regarding her childhood to her advantage in many ways. Does her mom owe her some love and attention after failing as a mother in the past? Certainly. And I'm glad that they can have what is hopefully a good relationship now, as Amber's mother seems to be doing quite well. However, I find it incredibly distasteful to have her mother drive her to get Delta 8, knowing she is a recovering drug addict, and then making her inject her with semaglutide, since Amber won't even try to do it herself, knowing that her mother is a recovering drug addict. Her mom claims it doesn't bother her and is responsible for her own actions at the end of the day, but relapses can happen at any time, and if that was my mother, I would be far more careful and considerate of that. Number 15. Constant pet negligence. Amber is not fit to have pets, period. We've seen clues throughout her videos over the years depicting a less than ideal environment for her animals to be in. Her roughhousing Wasabi when he was just a kitten, food bowls overflowing on the counter, and Twinkie's nails always being way too long. While in Kentucky, when Beck was overly medicated, Amber left Twinkie allegedly shaking in pain to go to Walmart and Chili's, claiming that there were no 24-hour vets nearby. However, Michael B. Petty did a simple Google search and immediately found one, down the street from the Chili's. Side note, I adore Twinkie. Twinkie reminds me so much of my boy Chico. If anything happens to Twinkie, I'm sharpening my pitchfork and we ride at dawn. Anyway, more recently, Amber's exes have confirmed the viewers' concerns. Destiny said that in the years her and Amber were together, the animals never went to the vet. Then Beck claimed that when they started dating Amber, and Amber was living alone in an apartment for that short period, that the cats' litter boxes were kept in a spare bedroom and Amber never cleaned them. So the cats were relieving themselves all over the floor and on the bed. One of the main reasons Beck was so afraid to dump Amber was because they were so worried about the animals being left alone in Amber's care. Of course, Amber thinks she takes great care of her fur babies, and she'll sure as hell slap them onto merch for more money, but only if someone else designs it and runs the store entirely for her. Number 16. Clickbaiting her likely deceased cat. Rarity needs her own segment on this list. I will always try to be fair and say that accidents indeed happen. Animals do like to explore, and some like to run. However, Amber never even bothered to get any of her pets microchipped, and they don't always have their collars on, and she constantly moves them around depending on her relationship status, which can leave the animals quite bewildered. And when Amber recently dragged all of her pets to Wisconsin last year so she could be with her new feeder girlfriend, they were in a new environment and alongside Emily's animals. Allegedly, Amber was so stressed out, she left the door open, and Rarity escaped into the harsh snowy weather, never to be seen again, as far as we know. The posters Emily had to make and post all over town after working her long shifts, because Amber couldn't even do that, had inaccuracies on them at first, which raised some eyebrows. Amber then dropped the topic altogether on her channel, after posting numerous clickbait titles with no actual updates. Number 17. Constantly setting timers for Beck. During her relationship with Beck, Amber exhibited a lot of vile behavior, a lot of which is luckily being revealed with Beck's return to YouTube in recent months. Amber apparently loves to set timers. For example, she set them when Beck had to give her massages and pretend to pick lint off of her back for ASMR. And when their arms got tired, Amber would sigh and stop the timer so they could start again. But it didn't stop there. When Beck wanted to play video games with Eric and Ricky in the basement, Amber set a timer then too. And worst of all, when Beck would leave to see their family and dying mother, Amber would even set a time limit for that. Adding insult to injury, Amber then texted Beck while they were gone, guilt-tripping them into coming back to the house because she needed help. Number 18. Keeping Beck from their dying mother. I think it's safe to say that Beck went through absolute hell on earth while stuck in that relationship with Amber. Yes, Beck was an adult who had their own free will, but couldn't realize that at the time, because constant manipulation and abuse can frequently make you stay in a position that you don't belong in. And when someone else is in control of all of your finances, it's even harder. Beck's mother was dying of cancer, and all Beck wanted to do was spend time with family. However, Amber stopped this whenever she could. She would say she was terrified of Beck bringing COVID home, because she was at risk. By choice, might I add, because she refuses to lose weight. Amber would also say that she needed Beck home with her to help her with XYZ. Beck's mother was devastated by this, and she worried about it until her death, which continues to haunt Beck to this day. I'll likely touch on the voice notes that Amber left Beck's mother after her surgery later on in this series, because so many aspects of the situation are despicable enough to have their own position on this list. But for now, we must discuss the inheritance. Number 19. Taking Beck's inheritance money. You heard that right. After Beck's mother lost her battle with cancer, Beck was given nearly $6,000 of inheritance. And then, Amber convinced Beck into giving it all to her, claiming that it all had to go towards bills, reminding Beck that they were in her debt. When Beck told Amber that their mom wanted to do specific things with that money, Amber simply did not care. This info was recently spilled by Beck and continues to be a scorching topic of discussion. Amber's comment sections lit up with people demanding she pay Beck back the $6,000. although she owes Beck way more than that, which I will elaborate on further down the list. The point here is, Amber sure as hell did not need that money for bills or any other damn thing, as she was making $10,000 to $20,000 a month. She just didn't want Beck to have it, as it would have given them leverage and independence. I don't think she can blame the BPD for this one. Number 20, trying to date a 20-year-old while in her mid-30s. So another recent, quite disturbing topic is that Amber allegedly likes them young. And there is now a list of examples, but I will start with this one. We all know about her attempt at a relationship with a 20-year-old named Abby, which I must point out is legal. But given that Amber was in her mid-30s at this point and continued to pursue Abby after knowing her age, this was just very unsettling for many. In addition to that, Abby was very religious and still closeted, and was struggling heavily with an identity crisis. According to Alexis, Amber would tell Abby that everything is okay and that God doesn't hate gays. While I agree with that statement, let us remember that Amber doesn't even believe in God, which for me begs the question, did Amber just tell this young girl what she thought she wanted to hear solely as an attempt to reel her into a relationship with her? I can't help but wonder. Number 21, defending the confirmed feeder. I am making an entire video dedicated to Amber's more recent and possibly still current relationship with Tommy. However, it needs to be on this list. Tommy's real name is Emily, and she is a confirmed feeder. Amber spent the whole 7 months they were together relentlessly defending Emily, saying that she was not a feeder and that she would never be with a feeder, and that Emily was completely supportive of her weight loss. However, the receipts scream otherwise, and Amber knew this all along. When called out about it, she immediately victimized them both, saying that the internet hate was ruining their mental health. She knew we were right, though. She knew the whole damn time. In fact, both of these women have the habit of doing horrendous things, willingly putting them on the internet, and when their deeds are discovered and addressed, they play victim and claim they did nothing wrong. Number 22, drinking in front of Emily. Despite me personally not having any sympathy for Emily whatsoever, I will always point out Amber's crappy behavior towards others, including her. If anyone approaches Amber romantically at this point, ignoring the mountain of public reasons why they shouldn't, they must reap what they have sown, and I have no sympathy left. However, I just want to point out one specific thing. The couple appeared to drink quite regularly since the beginning of their relationship. In my opinion, because the chemistry wasn't there. However, while Amber was staying at Emily's house for months, she told her audience that Emily could no longer drink at all, due to some serious health concerns that were causing a lot of stress and worry onto them both. Amber claimed that, out of respect, she would no longer be drinking in front of Emily at all. Plus, that's the last thing Amber needs anyway. Fast forward to when Amber is back home and Emily comes to visit. When Amber makes Emily stop at a gas station for junk food and drinks, then proceeds to conduct an alcoholic taste test for her vlog. She even needs Emily to open them, because God forbid she does anything herself. How considerate of Amber to make Emily film her doing so as well. Regardless of Emily being a crappy person, this was still a crappy thing to do, and I had to put it on the list, as it depicts how Amber only cares about herself. Number 23. Inappropriate behavior around Libby. A more recent outrage in the community, based upon resurfacing footage from the Destiny era, is the Libby situation. When Amberlynn first met and moved in with Destiny, Amber was 25, Destiny was 19, and Destiny's friend Libby was 15. Throughout the vlogs during this period, we see a lot of inappropriate comments and behavior, and viewers questioned Libby's safety to an extent because of it. After this topic was brought up again recently, Amber went back and deleted those videos. This raises my eyebrow because Amber very rarely deletes old content by choice, no matter how problematic it is. So is she trying to hide something here? If she realized it was just inappropriate and decided to remove it from the internet, she could have just taken accountability and addressed that. But as we all know, that is something Amber cannot seem to grasp the concept of. Number 24. Asking Casey for nudes when he was underage. These next two are quite upsetting, but they are important, and we are going to conclude this episode with them. Before the vlogs, Amber was in a long-distance relationship with Casey, who presented as Cassidy at the time. Amber was 17, and Casey was 15 when they first connected online. Casey claims that at one point, Amber pressured him into sending nude photos, which he really didn't want to do. Amber kept pressing and threatened to end the relationship until he gave in. To pressure anyone to do something of that nature is wrong enough, but when that person is a minor, it's also illegal. Number 25. Accusing Casey of Rain and Petals eavesdrop years later. And then, years later, while living with Destiny and uploading daily vlogs to YouTube, Amber decided to upload a video accusing Casey of Rain and Petals eavesdrop, which she thought was perfectly fine since she used Casey's previous name, and perhaps assumed that Casey would never find out. Well, he found out, and was absolutely livid. He then responded defending himself, as he had every right to do. Amber started getting some heat and began to spiral. She texted Casey over and over because she had kept in contact with him after the breakup, despite claiming he was an abuser. She begged him to remove the video, trying to guilt trip him because of all the hate she was getting, and threatened to contact YouTube. But luckily, to no avail, as the video remains up to this day. As for now, Amber is taking yet another break from YouTube, since Beck seems to be keeping their foot on her neck. Everything she has tried throwing back at Beck has been bottom-of-the-barrel desperate attempts, many of which are things that people already have known about. She's tried pulling Beck's partner, other acquaintances, and even certain reaction channels into the mud. She victimizes herself yet again in her latest community post, claiming that the heat she is getting is just too much, even though Amber is always the one who lights the match.
You say that you're just a reaction channel and you're reacting to just, me as a person, and supposedly I'm just not a good person and all that. But what makes you better? They're hypocritical, they're biased. You are fatphobic and you're fat shaming, mental health shaming. His response to me was like a misogynistic rant of nothing but like curse words, and just, it was horrible. It was like verbally abusive. But yet I'm the bad person? You're ableist, girl. Just admit it. You're fatphobic, you're biased, you lack empathy and sympathy, and you can't admit when you're wrong. Is that because that's all you have? Because I'm not as shitty as you really thought I was, and my life isn't as dramatic as you want it to be? That's pretty fucking pathetic if you ask me.
Number 26. Accusing reaction channels of ableism. I'm beginning with this one because it struck a nerve with me and many others. So it's going to send me off on a bit of a rant, but please bear with me. My family member who was brain damaged during their birth and is confined to a chair forever is disabled. My friend who lost their leg from being struck by a drunk driver is also disabled. One of my favorite reactors, Kicking Geese, has MS and is disabled. And she still lost over 100 pounds despite her mobility struggles. Amber, choosing to constantly sit on her couch and stuff her face with takeout to the point of bathroom difficulty, does not fall into the same category for me, as it is all her own doing, despite having numerous resources that others would kill for at her disposal for years. Now she is an adult and can make her own choices, and if she wants to choose money over healing, then fine. However, her accusing viewers of her new favorite word, ableism, after people found out she has trouble wiping, which, let's be real, we probably could have guessed that one, is just a desperate attempt at victimizing herself once again. How dare she use that term when she damn well chose that body and continues to choose that body? I suffered with brutal ED, and despite my overwhelming thoughts trying to push me into the wrong direction, I was still in control of my actions, despite that. And I lost 60 pounds when I took that control back. Those with disabilities usually did not cause and cannot reverse their conditions. Amber did cause her situation and can reverse it, alongside finances and resources galore, but refuses to, all while inconveniencing and hurting those around her. Also making Destiny ride mobility scooters with her so she wouldn't feel embarrassed in Walmart, despite Destiny not needing one, and then leaving scooters in the parking lots because she was too lazy to return them to their proper place, is pretty inconsiderate to the disabled, if you ask me.
Oh, whoops, I ran over Becky's toe.
And lastly, using the term immobile freak and then smugly sipping her drink makes her pretty fucking ableist. Number 27, disrespecting Casey's mother under her roof. Before the vlogs, but after Amber aged out of the foster care system, she began living with her mother and grandmother in Oklahoma. She then traveled to Arizona to visit her long-distance partner, Casey, who lived in an incredibly cramped apartment with his mother and her new boyfriend. Once Amber arrived in Arizona, she was told that she could not return home, as she was being kicked out of her grandmother's house. Despite her immense financial struggles, Casey's mom took Amber in, knowing she had nowhere else to go. An incredibly generous act, and Amber was grateful, until she wasn't. Amber was an adult, but never got a job and dropped out of college shortly before earning her degree, which led to her being home a lot. And tension between her and Casey's mother and her boyfriend continued to rise as time went on, to the point where Amber was publicly voicing her frustrations on social media. Amber claimed mistreatment throughout her posts, but alongside comments that displayed immense immaturity and disrespect, some even turning violent in nature. Casey later claims that Amber threw a glass at his mother, so hard that it left a mark on the wall. Now, we were not there, but given Amber's future endeavors, you will see a disturbing pattern begin to form. Number 28, disrespecting Destiny's mother under her roof. Amber's issues with her partner's mothers did not end there, as we all know, as years later, Amber would encounter the same situation once again. After moving to Kentucky with Destiny, they moved into Destiny's mother's home. Destiny wanted to spend as much time with her mother as she could, as she was deprived of that time greatly throughout her childhood. For those who are unaware, Destiny's mother is now deceased, as she lost her battle with cancer in July of 2020, which makes what I'm about to tell you even more infuriating. Amber was not thrilled about living with her partner's parent again, and tension arose when Amber decided to quit her office job to do YouTube full-time. Sitting at home all day, filming mukbangs and gaining more and more weight, Destiny's mother had been trying to help Amber lose weight by introducing her to various programs, but she never stuck with any of them. So Amber's current lifestyle choice was upsetting to her. Destiny's mother was also an alcoholic, so shit was about to hit the fan. One morning, an argument escalated to the point where Destiny's mother physically attacked Amber, and the couple immediately had to move out. After that, Destiny rarely got to spend any time with her mother. Number 29, reacting poorly to reaction channels. I'm going to preface this one by saying that it is completely fair for Amber to dislike reaction channels. However, she also knows that if these reaction channels disappear, so will her views and income, creating a cycle that she has turned into a vicious one. And Amber has chosen YouTube money above all else in her life. Therefore, she will be crying and claiming that these channels have ruined her life one moment, while being smug and egging them on the next. I'm going to try to lump multiple examples into this one listing, so again, bear with me. Amber has had a roller coaster of a relationship with Zachary Michael in her mind, going from hating his guts to sliding into his DMs. Zach recently ended a long-term relationship and has needed mental health breaks from the internet. Amber addressed this in a nasty way, saying that he only takes his mental health breaks when she isn't uploading. This, shockingly, pissed Zach off, and Amber used his reaction to victimize herself, claiming that he was being misogynistic and verbally abusive, and that she didn't feel safe. Despite this, she has still attempted to DM Zach after the fact, baiting him to react so the cycle can continue. She has also accused Mr. Snowflake, who literally lives on another continent, of sexual harassment due to his obviously sarcastic comments regarding her body. Amber claims she wouldn't want to be in a room alone with him. Okay. Her and Salty Crab have recently gone at it, where Amber threatened her with a copyright strike, and Salty Crab re-edited the video in a way that Amber used to victimize herself yet again, calling Salty Crab, you guessed it, ableist. In recent months, I've noticed that Amber has been purposely using words that could qualify as legal terms. Defamation, harassment, stalking, ableism, dehumanize, misinformation, distress. In my opinion, as an attempt to bait a likely naive, inexperienced lawyer into reaching out to her. Amber claims to have one now, and loves threatening to sue. However, pursuing legal action against any reaction channel is going to be far more trouble than it's worth. and I don't think our girl knows what lawsuits entail. Let's end this listing with Jordy. Because Amber was too lazy to do it herself, she asked Alexis to find Jordy's information, and then attempted to insult him with it, calling him pale and claiming that he lives in his mom's basement playing World of Warcraft all day. Clearly not thinking before she speaks, as she struggles to go outside and needs her mom every time she wants to go somewhere. And she also claims to play video games quite often, but I suppose when she does it, it's cute. Throwing stones from a glass apartment is quite bold. Amber smugly asked him why he and other channels need to make fat jokes in their videos, as if that is all people have on her. That comment is what inspired this series, by the way. The answer is very simple. It's because Amber has knowingly made her entire health journey a complete joke. She has never taken her health seriously, so why should anyone else? Number 30, the Code Red incident. As with every other partner she's had, Destiny also fell victim to Amber's controlling tendencies. After the couple moved out of Destiny's mother's house, Destiny was very excited to attend a get-together her family was having. Once Amber discovered this, she began demanding Destiny stay home with her instead. Destiny was insistent on just having a nice dinner with her loved ones, and began walking to her car. According to Destiny, Amber began throwing a total fit, crying and screaming from the doorway, threatening to harm herself if she was left alone. She then began charging toward the car as Destiny was getting into it. Destiny left her Code Red Mountain Dew on the roof of the car as she closed and locked the door. Once Amber reached the vehicle, she demanded her girlfriend get out and threw the Mountain Dew at the car. Unfortunately, Destiny surrendered. Amber claims that this whole encounter did not happen. However, Amber also claims that their address had been leaked prior to this, and she was scared. Although a valid concern, to be fair, it is not a reason to command the undivided attention and presence of others. All Destiny wanted was time with her mother, and Amber knew how much that meant to her. But as always, she puts herself above all else. Number 31, living off of Crystal's parents in her 20s. Let's rewind a bit. After leaving Casey for Crystal, Amber lived with her and her parents for the next few years. During this time, Amber created her YouTube channel, but wasn't making money from it yet. However, the audience could see that Crystal's parents clearly spoiled them both. Amber claimed to get a very hefty allowance once a month from Crystal's parents in exchange for basic household chores. Although the couple was well into their 20s, neither of them got a job, and when asked about this, Amber gave every excuse in the book. That she didn't have transportation, that she wanted to lose weight first, that her computer was unreliable, despite her uploading to YouTube almost daily with no problem. Lastly, despite their generosity, Amber even admitted to fighting with Crystal's parents at times. Number 32, punching walls while with Destiny. By now, we know damn well that Amber has mistreated all of her partners tremendously. After recently returning to YouTube and collaborating with Beck, Destiny shared a new detail with us on her community page. After their breakup, Destiny confided in a friend regarding how toxic the relationship was, saying that the last month of it was like walking on eggshells and she had to stay in survival mode. Saying, "She hits the wall. She's never hit me, but it's scary. It's like the world owes her something. She blames it on her parents and her brother, but she did this to herself." Number 33, buying her own engagement rings and pushing Beck to propose. After Beck and Amber moved into their luxury Lexington apartment, where Beck was even farther from their family, Amber wanted to take things up a notch by ordering her own engagement rings and telling Beck to propose to her with them. After Beck proposed, Amber announced this to her audience, but noticeably appeared less than thrilled about the whole situation. Later, well after their breakup, when Amber was with Jade, Amber did a tea-spilling tell-all regarding the proposal in a short-lived series called So Raw, in which it appeared as though she was attempting to belittle and embarrass Beck, all because she wasn't satisfied with the forced proposal. At this point, Beck had asked Amber not to talk about them, and Amber wasn't listening. After Beck reached out warning her to stop, Amber addressed it again in So Raw, claiming that Beck was silencing her and erasing years of experience from her life. She would still bring Beck up though, just not as frequently and over various social media platforms. Then, when Beck decided to share their side of things, Amber didn't like that because only Amber is allowed to share her experiences for AdSense revenue. Number 34, displaying unprofessionalism at work. Amber had 2 normal jobs during her YouTube presence, both within the Destiny era. The first one was at an assisted living facility that Destiny had been working at, where Amber recorded her and her coworkers while on the clock. She even filmed herself while inside the residents' rooms. In one instance, she even decided to film herself talking about her ex with gender dysphoria, taping their chest down. Classy, Amber. Anyway, after her and Destiny moved to Kentucky, the couple allegedly landed positions for a government job. Shortly after, Amber decided to pursue YouTube full-time and quit without notice. As for now, if you consider her live streams work, she's drinking the whole time and acting a damn fool. So unfortunately, the laziness and unprofessionalism continues. Number 35, refusing to remove offensive clips from her videos. Removing a clip from your video without taking the entire video down is a very easy thing to do. And if it's something you truly regret and want to take accountability for, why not just edit the damn clip out? Amber has never done this, either due to laziness, carelessness, or both. Clips such as a child's grave, making fun of your ex with gender dysphoria, young children who can't consent to being on the internet, filming your exes half naked and on the toilet without their knowledge, which we will get into later, pouring salt all over your perfectly good food, oversharing your sex life when no one asked for that. No? I guess she just doesn't care. Number 36, dating Emily weeks after her ex passed away. Again, I am making a whole video about Amber and Emily, but certain parts of their relationship will be put on this list. This one being how they originally got together, as both of these women refused to be single and take time to heal for an appropriate amount of time in between relationships. Emily's ex, who was once in the media for being over 1,000 pounds, sadly, but as expected, passed away. Not long after speaking at the funeral, Emily was in the DMs of other obese public figures, and then dating Amber. If you do the math, it was a mere handful of weeks between the death and Amber's first DM. Amber knew this, as many people tried to warn her, but she didn't care and just accused those people of sabotaging her new magical relationship. Number 37, ghosting friends and mom while in a relationship. Amber is a shitty friend, which is why she can never keep a friend long term, especially one that isn't long distance. Amber herself admitted that because of her alleged BPD, once she gets into a new relationship, it consumes her. People might disagree with me here, and that's fine, but I do consider Alexis one of Amber's victims to an extent. Alexis claims that she put so much time and energy into their friendship and was always there when Amber needed her. Amber even referred to Alexis as her emotional support animal, or her journal that talked back to her, all to just be pushed aside whenever Amber was talking to a new romantic interest. Then, when that would inevitably not work out, Amber would come crawling back to Alexis and even start flirting with her, in an attempt to reel her back in, knowing Alexis had had feelings for her at one point. I just think that playing with someone's emotions like that is a shitty thing to do. Also, Amber's own mother seems to be a victim of this back burner treatment as well, as she even commented in one of Amber's vlogs, implying that once Amber started dating Tommy, she was neglected. Number 38, dropping hints that revealed Jade's identity. When Amber first started talking to Jade, she made damn sure to rub it in Beck's face, and made sure the internet also knew that she was desirable and claimed by someone. Jade wanted to stay completely anonymous, but because of the new couple's foolishness, Jade's identity was discovered. Jade was commenting in Amber's live streams, and her first name was in her username, all while Amber was oh so smugly titling her videos random clues regarding Jade's name and location. Why on God's green earth would she do this, knowing that her audience consists of some of the best internet sleuths known to man, if she actually cared about Jade's privacy? She then blamed her audience when Jade's identity was uncovered, despite Jade revealing her first name and Amber revealing her last name and city. It was still the audience's fault. Then, Amber tried conducting some damage control by lying and saying that her and Jade had broken up and that she was now dating someone local, who she referred to as wifey number 2. Shockingly, no one bought it, and Destiny later confirmed that the two were one and the same. Amber eventually admitted that she lied, and the tale of two wifeys became a very stupid example of her continuous spiraling lies. Protecting someone's identity from the internet is completely understandable, but not after pathetically leaving your viewers a trail of breadcrumbs all because you need validation that people want to date you. Also, in case you were wondering, she never even changed the titles of the live streams. Number 39, allegedly putting her hands on Jade. I'm warning you, this one is heavy. Despite claiming in her videos to be in the best relationship she has ever been in at the time, and wanting to see Jade's face at the end of the aisle, when the camera was turned off, things got very dark. According to both Alexis and Erica, Amber admitted to hitting Jade. Allegedly, she slapped and even choked her, would go through her phone periodically, and at one point even tore up her work desk. Jade, on the other hand, would give silent treatments and laugh at Amber when she was crying, and there was allegedly an incident including a knife. It seems that Jade's actions were more psychological in nature. There is also speculation regarding Jade and substances, but I'm going to leave that alone. However, as far as we know, the only physical act by Jade was her pushing Amber after being slapped, and not helping her up right away. Regardless, in this relationship, it took two to tango. Amber has never dared to address these things specifically, even to defend herself. And as much as we would all love to hear Jade speak on her experience, that's never going to happen. Perhaps Jade wants to remain anonymous due to some skeletons in her closet, for all we know. However, from what we do know about Amber, this is a consistent behavioral pattern for her. After their breakup, Amber admitted that they had very high highs and very low lows. Shortly after this, she claimed that she would rather relive their worst day over and over again rather than just letting Jade go. This entire relationship was just toxic to the core. Regardless, I still think Jade qualifies as a victim of Amberlynn Reid. Number 40, allegedly hitting Crystal. There aren't many details regarding this one, but it's important. According to Casey, Amber admitted to him via text message that she once hit Crystal. Because Casey no longer has that phone, this cannot be proven. But further down this list, I will point out instances of Amber's mistreatment of Crystal that could potentially make this accusation believable. Although Amber's actions and relationships following this has made it convincing already for many. Number 41, demanding Destiny's time after their breakup. After Destiny broke up with Amber, Amber continued to be completely codependent and demanding of Destiny's time, still needing Destiny to sleep in the same bed as her and drive her around Lexington or wherever else she needed to go. Destiny almost immediately started dating Dana and stayed at her place as often as she could to be away from Amber. What didn't help was Amber and their allegedly pot-stirring friend Sharla being in cahoots, as Sharla would watch the new couple at work and report back to Amber what she saw. Destiny recently came forth on one of Beck's live streams, the Girl World Super Bowl, if you will, with some screenshots from after their breakup, showcasing Amber in a very needy state. Amber commented that she was just hurting, but the texts are far more concerning than that, if you ask me. Number 42, pressuring partners to play Choosy. We have reached the Choosy segment. A game that seems quite innocent on the surface, but is perhaps more sinister when Amber plays it. Choosy is a game where you have a large group of like items and ultimately pick your favorite by choosing between pairs of two over and over again. If Amber finds this calming and satisfying, then that's perfectly fine. The concern arose when Beck recently revealed that Amber would pressure them into playing it constantly throughout their relationship, and that it would take hours and even days because Amber's hoarding of useless items was out of control at the time. They would sort through hundreds of Croc charms despite Amber not even owning a pair of Crocs. They even played with calendar pages. Who the hell needs a vast array of calendars? Well, the internet sleuths did some digging and actually found a clip of Choosy in action from the Crystal era. Amber was making Crystal play the game with her earring collection, but Crystal seemed completely uninterested in it. It was uncomfortable, to say the least. The true concern here is the speculation that Amber used this game to control her partner's time with something completely unproductive and useless, that takes hours or even days to complete, and if that's the case, then that's terrifying. Number 43, making Beck and Destiny untangle her unkempt hair. We have yet another development emerging from Beck's return to YouTube. Beck has shared that during their relationship, they had to untangle Amber's very long hair that would get insanely matted, and like Choosy, it would take hours. Amber always refused to have her hair cut and didn't keep up with the maintenance of it, so then Beck had to take care of it for her when it got out of control. Beck also had to try to remove marks off of her neck left by her constant wearing of chokers. Then, when Beck collaborated with Destiny, Destiny revealed that she had to do that for Amber as well. Making your partners deal with a result of your laziness like that is just wrong. She seems to keep up with her hair maintenance now, but probably because she's living alone and has no choice, meaning she could have also maintained it prior when she was in those relationships. She just didn't bother because she knew her partner would take care of it for her. Number 44, filming partners half naked and on the toilet. In part 1, we discussed Amber filming others without their consent in the earlier years of her channel. Here, I want to point out her filming her partners during very intimate, embarrassing moments. Crystal, who did not want to be filmed at all, was unknowingly filmed on the toilet, while Amber thought it was hilarious. In fact, she tried to catch her on the toilet multiple times. Then, in her next chapter with Destiny, she would film Destiny's butt crack when she wasn't looking, her half naked while changing, and even in the shower. Destiny recently claimed that most of the time, she didn't even know when Amber was filming, as she would just whip the camera out at random without letting anyone know. So these instances would be without warning. Can you imagine if one of Amber's partners filmed and posted her on the toilet or her butt crack? We would never hear the end of it. Number 45, sharing her side while silencing others. Amber has every right to share her side of any story, but the way she has conducted it over the years has simply caused her audience to distrust her. She will directly accuse others of serious things or try to embarrass them, and when they respond, as they have every right to do, Amber freaks out and tries to manipulate them into stopping by victimizing herself. We've seen this many times. When Casey defended himself after Amber accused him of SA, Amber threatened him and tried to guilt trip him into taking his video down. Then, when Destiny came to YouTube during the Jade era to share what she experienced during their relationship, Amber was calling her attention-seeking. We continue to see this with Alexis. And lastly, we've seen this between her and Beck a couple years ago and then again in current time. Amber is currently accusing Beck of being money hungry. Well, excuse Beck for trying to earn back the thousands of dollars Amber had taken from them after their mother died. Number 46, sending Erica's personal videos to Alexis. Alexis has shared with us that during Amber's long-distance, unfaithful relationship with Erica, the two sent explicit content back and forth, and Alexis has seen all of it. Apparently, at one point, Amber screen shared their conversations to prove to Alexis that she was not talking shit about her to Erica behind her back. However, Amber also sent all of the nudes to Alexis as well, which was completely unsolicited, as Alexis never asked for those. The fact that Amber sends her nudes to people that she has never even met is mind-boggling enough for me. But to forward someone else's nudes that they sent you privately to anyone else is disgusting. Then, when Amber's infamous crumble cookie video was leaked online, Amber was pretty quick to accuse Erica of revenge porn, saying she felt violated, even though we still don't know who actually leaked it. Number 47, putting no effort into her channel whatsoever. This one doesn't make her a bad person per se, however, it does showcase her laziness and lack of effort she puts towards the people who keep her lights on. Amber claims that her video process is a tedious one, and that between her setting up, filming, editing, and adding those final touches, it takes hours. But in reality, all she does is make lists and schedules, all to just not stick with them. And if you watch her content, you can clearly see that it is lazy, especially for someone who has done this as a job for the past 12 years. To be fair, not everyone enjoys editing like I do, but for the love of God, she never even got a channel banner. Why should she? We all know damn well that Amber won't do anything she doesn't have to do. And despite her income not being as much as it was during the Beck era, she still likely makes very good money currently for doing next to nothing. Number 48, filming Beck while heavily medicated and making them drive. So near the end of 2019, Beck was severely over-medicated after being misdiagnosed with bipolar type 2. We could see through Amber's vlogs that something is very wrong. Beck was also dealing with their mother's cancer around this time and about to be hit with Amber's cancer, their mother's death, and renal failure. One thing I would like to point out here is that Beck recently admitted that Amber would make them drive around for her while heavily medicated, despite that being incredibly dangerous and irresponsible. Beck has admitted fault on their part regarding this. but also claims that Amber pressured them into driving her wherever she wanted to go. And when Amber didn't feel like leaving the house, she pressured Beck into driving to pick up things for her. Amber didn't care if Beck was medicated or not. At the end of the day, Beck's purpose was to be Amber's caretaker, and nothing was going to get in the way of that. Number 49, not paying Beck for the live streams. In part 1, we began with Amber influencing Beck to quit their job and financially controlling them throughout their relationship. And we concluded with Amber taking Beck's inheritance after their mother died for bills, despite not needing the money. Beck claims that even when they would collect pocket change, it made Amber upset, because Amber didn't want them to have any independence or means of leaving her. Here, I want to discuss the live stream era after the two had just broken up. Amber and Beck were going live regularly rather than vlogging. The audience loved interacting with Beck more this way, and the couple made a lot of money through these streams via both AdSense and Super Chats. Amber is seen telling the viewers numerous times throughout these lives that she was indeed giving Beck money to be in them. Beck was bringing in a lot of views and money. Amber acknowledged this and claimed to take on the role of Beck's boss and pay them properly. We find out years later that Beck was never paid and was left destitute after their breakup with not even enough money to move out. As far as the live stream payments, because Beck didn't even know how much the streams made, it was thousands, by the way, Amber told Beck that their entire portion had to go toward bills. Amber, here's another legal term for you since you love collecting those like they're croc charms. Verbal agreement. She is so lucky that Beck hasn't come after her legally for this, because Beck has a much better chance at a claim than Amber does going after people who make mean jokes on the internet, especially when the agreement is online for all to see at numerous timestamps. Number 50, falling right back into bad habits after cancer. And here we go. The year was 2020. On June 4th, a clearly devastated Amberlynn announced to her audience that she had just been diagnosed with womb cancer. On July 18th, Amber posted a video of her in the hospital just after receiving a total hysterectomy. On August 19th, just 1 month later, Amber uploaded a grocery haul consisting of numerous cases of soda, a massive bag of various chips, and 5 packages of chocolate bars. Amber was then sure to make that the thumbnail for the video. There has been some back and forth lately regarding the severity of Amber's cancer, whether it was cancer or precancerous cells. I personally don't care to debate that, as something was clearly wrong with her, bleeding practically nonstop for years. I don't care to question it. However, what I will talk about here is her behavior prior to and after her fairly short cancer journey. For those who are not aware, the emergency room is not designed to diagnose you. It is meant to stabilize you and then refer you to a specialist who can properly diagnose you and proceed to conduct appropriate treatment. If you're like Amber and treat the ER like an annual doctor appointment, then misdiagnosis can happen. Even when you go to a primary care doctor for a gynecological issue, misdiagnosis can also happen there too, especially at Amber's size. Yet, Amber appeared to treat her ER visits as if they were checkups, allowing her cancer to just fester, prolonging her diagnosis further and further, as her symptoms worsened to the point where those around her had to be inconvenienced because of it. Fear is no longer a valid reason when it has gotten that far. Amber chose to buy an extra mattress and have Beck lug it back and forth between the living room and spare bedroom so she could sit and bleed on it rather than just going to the fucking gynecologist. When she first announced her cancer to the audience, no one was laughing. It was upsetting. But I truly felt that this was perhaps God's way of forcing her into the direction of positive change once and for all. Maybe now she will finally take her health seriously, I thought. Maybe now she will have a whole new outlook on life and cherish it. Spoiler alert, she didn't. Worst of all, because Amber waited as long as she did to get proper help, Beck was unable to see their dying mother in her final days, as Beck's mother passed away just days after Amber's hysterectomy. And Amber claims that she was in the hospital for 4 days, and Beck never left her side, despite Amber's mother being there as well. I understand that it was a traumatic experience for Amber, and I am not trying to diminish that. But you know who else was going through the same trauma at the same time? Beck's mom. Except she died with it. Amber had her mom with her, but Beck couldn't be with theirs. And then, Amber had the absolute fucking gall to practically blame Beck for the cancer when she was with Jade, claiming Beck didn't take it seriously. Beck responded saying everyone took it seriously, Amber just didn't listen to anyone. And Beck admitted she didn't go to many follow-ups after her surgery. Amber responded, pissed off that Beck didn't remember the details of her diagnosis. Maybe because they were having mental and physical health issues of their own, and maybe, just maybe, they were thinking of their dying mother, who they couldn't see because they couldn't leave your side. I guess Amber is the only one allowed to disassociate and have a bad memory when it's convenient for her. Ultimately, Amber is so lucky her cancer didn't spread. She is so lucky she didn't need chemo. She was graciously given a second chance and has thrown it away before our very eyes, claiming that she can't afford inpatient, weight loss surgery, or even Ozempic anymore, while she continues to spend thousands on takeout, clothing hauls, Lego sets, and cases upon cases of diet sodas full of aspartame, which is linked to, you guessed it, cancer. As if she has all the time in the world to get her shit together, and will just make another list and start again on Monday, when in reality, I really don't think she has much time left.
There is a lot of slander. There is a lot of defamation. To see people say things that are not true at all. We do shit in our 20s that we regret. You guys won't change with me. To go from being so fucking happy and like so sure of my feelings and my future, to have that just ripped away from me over something that I didn't even do. I feel triggered. I feel just like YouTube is ruining my life. Like truly ruining my life. It has nothing to do with me and everything to do with so many of you.
Number 51. Using a fake profile to spy on forums. Amber has repeatedly claimed over the years that she avoids reaction channels like the plague and never looks at the forums, when we all know damn well that is not the case. It seems as though every time a reaction channel brings up something specific, Amber's next video just so happens to nonchalantly bring that same topic up. Not only that, but from my observation, it looks like she will even begin using their terminology.
I have said time and time again, ad nauseum. We've also already covered that ad nauseum, Diva.
I have admitted to that ad nauseum. People are talking about ad nauseum. There is multiple reasons for this. I have talked about it ad nauseum. I have mentioned that ad nauseum.
Interesting. Beck has recently stated that throughout their relationship, Amber was neck deep in the Amberverse, doom scrolling the forums and watching every reaction video she would come across. Perhaps the most damning evidence we have is a profile under the name Damon White. Damon began popping up in the Amberverse forums and appeared more and more frequently, often defending Amber, which began raising suspicion. It was later revealed that this account was indeed being used by Amber, with incriminating receipts to prove it. To this day, she still acts as though she is not involved in the community for her mental health, but no one can believe her at this point. Number 52. Refusing to be single. As we all know, Amber does not take the proper time to heal and work on herself in between relationships. It's as if all of her relationships have overlapped one another, and she always seems to have a back burner or two eagerly waiting in her Instagram DMs. The first breakup her YouTube audience witnessed was with Crystal, after Crystal dumped her. However, little did everyone know at the time that while Amber was recording her breakup announcement video, she already had Destiny lined up. After Destiny dumped her, Amber heavily pressured Beck into a relationship when Beck was not ready, claiming that she had a line of people ready and waiting to be with her if Beck didn't make moves quicker. After Beck dumped her, Amber guilt-tripped them into staying in the apartment with her, sleeping in the same bed, as she did with every other ex, and filming live streams because she didn't want to be alone. That is, until her new girlfriend, whom she had never met, immediately moved in. Then Amber kicked Beck to the curb, completely financially destitute. After Jade dumped her, she was immediately talking to multiple women online, Danielle, who was in a relationship, and Abby, who was very young, while living with and occasionally hooking up with Jade. Then, when those relationships failed, she committed to someone else she had been talking to, Erica. Then, after Erica cut things off, and after Amber attempted to manipulate and flirt with Alexis a bit, she then chose Emily, who she had also been talking to simultaneously with Erica at one point. Even now, there is heavy speculation that someone is coming to visit Amber, as she just bought an excessive amount of new bedding, but only time will tell. And fear not, we will cover the Casey-era backburners later. Number 53, picking suspicious questions for Q&As. Currently, Amber has a YouTube schedule that is quite saturated with sit-down Q&A based content. She would take questions publicly through multiple sources, including her community tab, while claiming that all of the questions she answered are completely randomized. Then, when the vast majority of top questions were calling her out or asking about her relationship with Emily, she mysteriously deleted her community tab altogether and never addressed it. On top of that, some of the questions she reads without sources are extremely suspicious, as they appear to be poorly thought out clapbacks that Amber orchestrated herself. But that is just mere speculation. Her supporters are far more concentrated on Instagram and TikTok, so it's understandable that she feels more comfortable gathering questions from those platforms. And if she doesn't feel comfortable answering a particular question, no one is forcing her to do so. However, she is straight up avoiding the questions that are by far the most popular in her community and continuing to deny it. Number 54, filming herself drinking and drunk. Amber is fixing to be 35 this year, and you would think that her getting drunk on live streams and acting a damn fool would have hopefully become a thing of the past. But alas, it has not. The majority of her live streams includes her drinking and oddly acting drunk after just 2 White Claws or so, which leads into her saying things that she probably shouldn't be saying. We all know that Amber carrying a live stream by herself is challenging. Hence her playing choosy on one of her more recent streams and boring the audience to tears. They are excruciatingly painful to get through as a viewer. But is her drinking really helping the matter? Absolutely not. She's mentioned that it's just her way of having some drinks with friends. But shit, she's gotten drunk in her vlogs plenty of times all alone in her apartment, and then choosing to post it for all to see. I think we can all agree that alcohol is the last thing Amber needs. Number 55, using religion only when it is convenient for her. So I never, ever want to delve into religious or political discussions on this channel whatsoever. But damn it, this one thing Amber does just irks me, and I needed to include it on this list. Amber has brought up many times that she is agnostic/atheist leaning, which she has every right to be, disclose, and discuss. However, in the past, she has made disrespectful comments about religion, and some viewers inevitably became upset. For the record, I believe in God, and her comments never bothered me, because whenever she gets preachy about anything with her audience, I understand how uninformed she is when doing so, and couldn't care less. Case in point, when she was talking about the Bible, she was also preaching about veganism, and we all know how long her vegan lifestyle lasted. But I'll tell you what has rubbed me the wrong way. And that is, as soon as she comes across a serious struggle in her life, she is immediately crying and begging her audience to pray for her. Which is fine, but then when everything is okay again, she goes right back to the smugness. That's not how it works, and I find her doing that so disrespectful and gross. I, for one, and you don't have to agree with me, do hope she can find some sort of spirituality in her lifetime, as it seems to have helped her mom quite a lot. And the way Amber chooses to live her life currently is just completely self-centered and meaningless. Yes, she practices tarot now, but in the most narcissistic manner possible, as some tarot readers are very much against the practice of doing your own readings. In my opinion, I think Amber simply buys the cards for the aesthetic of it all, but I digress. Lastly, this ripples into the situation I brought up in part 1, where she was trying to lure in Abby, who is very religious and in the closet, telling her God doesn't hate gays, which I agree with, but Amber doesn't believe in God, so this tells me that she was just using it as a manipulation tactic, and it's just gross. Number 56, displaying frequent wastefulness. We've already discussed Amber's overspending and hoarding of useless things, likely as an unsuccessful attempt to fill a void that can only be filled with true self-growth, which Amber refuses to work on. Her weekly Amazon hauls, her out with the old and with the new ventures that are far more frequent than they need to be, her massive Torrid hauls that cost hundreds of dollars, all for half of the pieces not to fit right. Side note, when I want to lose significant weight, I don't buy clothes, but I digress. I even did some math and added up her last haul in my latest video. If you haven't seen that, please give it a click if you're interested, although I'm warning you, it will likely piss you off. Here, I would just like to point out a handful of examples showcasing her wastefulness. She will pour salt all over her food, which, as a former binge eater, actually can be a helpful tool when used correctly, as it can help you understand that you are indeed in control of the situation. However, in my opinion, I don't think it's something that needs to be done regularly, and it sure as hell shouldn't be showcased to your audience in an economy where many of them likely can't afford food half the time, all to just order takeout again, defeating the purpose altogether. She will throw out food to start a new diet, which I would actually support if she stuck to said diet, but she immediately fills her kitchen with junk again after the fact. She will get triggered by a chicken nugget and throw her whole meal away in disgust, and will throw out perfectly fine items in her fridge. Amber claims to have issues with contamination, claiming that she gets anxiety regarding food safety and such, all while ordering takeout bags covered in grease that sat in a random delivery person's car. But of course, this irrational fear pertains to more than just food. Amber claims that she has had contamination anxiety with her cat's litter box, so she would just buy a new one every month. Or could it be that she was just too lazy to properly clean the litter box regularly? Because Beck told us that when they started dating Amber, that the litter box was practically overflowing and there was cat shit all over the spare bedroom. Amber's claims simply do not line up with her behavioral patterns. She recently claimed that she loves doing the dishes now because she can, but she uses paper plates and even plastic utensils at home on the regular. Which begs the question for me, if she didn't have all this disposable income to just replace everything when she feels like it, would she still have these said contamination issues? Number 57, holding money over the heads of others. We began part 1 with a dive into how Amber financially controlled Beck throughout their entire relationship. She also promised Beck's mother financial assistance when she was battling cancer, and then had the absolute gall to take the inheritance money she had left specifically for Beck. However, Beck was certainly not the only person Amber manipulated with money. As she began making money on YouTube, she would buy things for 15-year-old Libby and always make sure her audience knew it. Then, despite Destiny resisting Amber's trap of convincing her partners to quit their job so they can be home with her all day, Amber tried to buy Destiny's love and attention in other ways. When the relationship was hella rocky and nearing the end, Amber bought Destiny an ocean of gifts. This, however, could not save the relationship. After Destiny dumped her and immediately dated Dana, and Amber wanted to remain close friends because she was still very much in love with Destiny, she gave Destiny and Dana financial help for bills as well as the children they were taking care of at the time. When Amber wanted them to do something together, but Destiny and Dana didn't have the finances to do so, Amber would either offer to pay herself or lecture and guilt trip them regarding their spending habits. Then, when Amber and Destiny were no longer on friendly terms, Amber began claiming that she was being used for money the entire time, recalling instances where she paid for things and holding it over her head. Somehow, using the fact that she has made over $1 million on YouTube doing the bare minimum while being a shit person as a way to victimize herself once again. Number 58, the iPod Touch incident. Let's rewind to a seemingly simpler, but just as chaotic time, before Amber's channel even existed. Amber was living with Casey, but attempting to obtain an open relationship situation type deal with Crystal. Amber and Crystal would talk online constantly, and Crystal, who was being completely supported by her parents, was sending Amber gifts and money. According to Casey, one day when Crystal asked Amber over the phone how many gigabytes she wanted for the new iPod Touch she was planning on buying for her, Amber threw a total fit that Crystal would even dare ask such a question, and not just get her the most expensive one with the highest gigs. Casey witnessed this phone call and says that Amber pushed Crystal to the point of tears.
She was on the phone with her, and she was telling me how Crystal was gonna buy her an iPod Touch. And she got mad because Crystal asked, do you want this certain gigabyte or the 32 one, the highest one? She went off on this poor girl and made her cry because Crystal asked a simple question, do you want this X amount of gigs or the highest one? And Amber was so disrespectful about it. Crystal cried. Over $200 this girl is spending on Amber. That's not even with her yet. It's like, whoa, you should just be grateful.
Wow, what a soft, gentle love. Number 59, continuous rage bait. Despite Amber threatening to leave YouTube whenever she's in a pickle, she knows she needs to do whatever it takes to keep the YouTube paychecks flowing, as she is never going to find anything else that pays her this much for doing so little. And despite Amber relentlessly claiming that she is above the drama, the reaction channels, and constant criticism, she knows that this is all the very thing that funds her lifestyle, and if the views were to decline, that would put it into jeopardy. Therefore, Amber relies on constant clickbait and even rage bait titles and thumbnails. Whether they tease an update on her likely deceased cat or a relationship status update, they just will not cease. And during a slow week, she'll have a thumbnail of her crying despite her not crying in the video, or just shoveling junk food into her mouth and hoping that the feeders give it a click. You know what would get significant clicks and views without the toxicity she claims she can't handle? Her losing weight, her learning how to drive, her showcasing and taking proper care of her animals. But that's just too much work, I suppose. Number 60, the Wasabi Fund. I've been dreading this one. On July 2nd of 2015, Amber met Destiny for the first time, and the two moved into a Florida apartment with Destiny's friend/roommate. Destiny's 14-year-old cat, Gracie, accompanied them. Amber had mentioned wanting her own cat, but their apartment had a 2-pet limit, so Amber alluded that she would have to wait for Gracie to pass on. Just over 2 weeks later, on July 18th, the couple woke up and Gracie was gone. How? We don't know, as both Amber and Destiny have always blamed their roommate for this, but the roommate has never taken responsibility. However, what I am putting on this list is Amber's vile behavior and actions regarding this particular tragedy. Destiny was obviously upset, as she had had Gracie for well over a decade. She was making flyers and posting them all over town. Meanwhile, Amber was just sitting there, watching and filming her doing these things for her vlog, but not lifting a damn finger to help, often changing the subject entirely to the hideous red couch they had just gotten. She was being completely inconsiderate of her new partner's feelings and needs. And then, to make matters so much worse, on July 20th, just 2 days after Gracie disappeared, Amber showed her audience a jar of spare change labeled Wasabi Fund, explaining that she was saving up for her own cat, because she always wanted a cat of her own. Then, on July 22nd, just 4 days after Gracie's disappearance, Amber sold her DS and her iPod that Crystal had bought for her and was immediately bringing a new kitten home. Destiny named him Chaplin, but then Amber changed his name to Wasabi. Amber claimed years later that they got the cat for Destiny because she needed that cat. But if you look back at the actual footage, all Amber says is, "My kitten, my kitten, my kitten." My question is, what the hell would have happened if Gracie was found and they would have been over the apartment's 2-pet limit? Did Amber somehow know that Gracie was never coming home? Number 61, bragging about being in love with 3 people at once. So, shortly after Jay dumped her, things inevitably became messy when the two decided to keep living together throughout the remaining months on the apartment lease. Amber went from claiming that the breakup was a mature mutual agreement to crying hysterically over her wanting Jade back more than anything in the world, and even still hooking up with her occasionally. Around this time, Amber was fishing through her Instagram DMs and talking to multiple women. The first one she fell in love with was Danielle, the one who is in a decade-long relationship. According to Alexis, she is the one that Amber really wanted, but her being in a long-term relationship was shockingly inconvenient. Then there was Abby, the younger girl in the closet who Amber manipulated. Perhaps Amber was just too impatient waiting for her to come out, so that ended. And then Erica entered the chat. All of these love interests heavily overlapped one another, and Amber was even bragging about it online. Call me crazy, but that tells me she wasn't actually in love with any of them. Number 62, oversharing her sex life. For the sake of myself and everyone watching, I will try to make this one quick. I will say it again, in case you forgot. Amber is almost 35 years old. During her first YouTube chapter with Crystal, Amber overall refrained from discussing topics of a sexual nature. Then, as soon as she got with Destiny, it was a drastic contrast from that, as Amber was now basically shoving her sex life into her audience's faces. It was honestly revolting. Then, after being deprived of a sex life while with Beck, as soon as Jade came into the picture and was filling that void, Amber shoved it in both Beck's and the viewers' faces once again. Her trying to discreetly show off her hickeys is one of the cringiest things I have ever seen in my life. To this day, she continues to answer very sexual questions throughout various platforms that are likely just asked by trolls and could certainly be ignored, because so many things are just better left behind closed doors. Number 63, tracking and harassing Erica. Like many of you, I'm honestly so sick of talking about this love triangle from hell. However, these things need to be addressed on this list. Despite Erica having a wife and living across the country, Amber was still as controlling of Erica's time as she was with her previous partners. We found out that Amber had Erica on a tracking app called Life360, and that she would even look up the places Erica appeared to be at. Then, when Erica was changing medications at one point and going through pretty rough withdrawal symptoms, Amber told her that she still deserved her time. Then, when Erica's close family member passed away and she was trying to mourn in peace, Amber still demanded her time then too, and tried to shift the conversation to their relationship instead. If Erica didn't respond to a text immediately, Amber had a fit. And if Erica simply wanted to spend her long drives to and from work to simply decompress, Amber didn't think that was fair to her. Once Amber's codependency, insecurity, and jealousy all came to a head, Erica awkwardly had to ask her wife Brittany to step in and help. And when Brittany told Erica to just cut Amber off completely, Amber then tried contacting Erica through different phone numbers. Did Erica deserve this? Probably. But does it also show what an awful person and partner Amber is? Absolutely. Sadly, it doesn't end here. Number 64. Unnecessarily going after Brittany. Just when I thought this case was closed, there was recently even more tea, albeit a bit lukewarm, spilled regarding this love triangle. Despite her initially wanting Erica to reach out to Amber as a troll, and then later promising the Amberverse a tea-spilling livestream and giving absolutely nothing, Brittany still has every right to dislike Amber, because despite Amber claiming that she didn't know about Brittany, or didn't know that they were still together romantically, the woman was making homewrecker burrito jokes on the regular, so she knew what she was doing at one point and continued doing it. Brittany will make vague comments here and there on her social media, making it known that she is living her best life, and posted a photo of herself in a Mean Girl sweatshirt that Amber also has. Amber chose to fire back at this in a video, digging up text messages and making damn sure everyone knew that Erica was obsessed with her at one point. I get that Erica and Brittany's relationship was likely far from perfect before Amber, but if Amber hates the drama so much, why does she keep feeding it? As Brittany's comments, although unnecessary, were not threatening and not even worth a response. Erica then clapped back at Amber with some tea of her own, and the unsolved mystery of who leaked Amber's private videos also lingers. Obviously, whoever did that is very much in the wrong, but we still can't be completely certain. I definitely believe that Erica lied to Amber, but I simultaneously believe that once Amber knew about Brittany, she got a pretty sick kick out of being the other woman. Number 65. Couldn't find her sympathy bone. I will preface this one by saying once again, it is perfectly fair for Amber to dislike reaction channels. However, in 2022, when Amber decided to conduct a Halloween livestream, she simply crossed the line. Amberlynn Reid reactor, the Narc Alert, had just had a heart attack, and when asked about it, this was Amber's response.
The Narc Alert had a heart attack. Have some sympathy. Sorry, I'm trying to find my sympathy bone. My sympathy. I'm sorry. I don't care. I want you guys to go look at the shit that she talked about my lung. I want you to go look. I want you to go look.
She then attempted to backpedal a bit and apologize after the fact, but I think only because Jade was disgusted and upset by it. But I don't buy it, as Amber now has a history of not giving a fuck when someone has a heart attack.
Your pappy had a heart attack today.
Number 66. Lying about bed bugs. One of many incidents recently revealed in Beck's YouTube streak is the bed bug incident. Apparently, while Amber was briefly living in her townhouse alone, after Destiny dumped her and was staying with Dana as much as she could, Amber had gotten bed bugs. Now, I am certainly not shaming Amber or anyone else who has bed bugs, but I am criticizing what she did next. Beck told us that Amber had let it get really bad, to the point where Beck would wake up covered in bites after spending the night, all while Amber just pretended not to notice. Beck then attempted to help Amber get rid of them by quarantining her clothing and such. I suppose Amber couldn't do any of that on her own. Amber then decided she wanted to move in with Beck and their two roommates, Eric and Ricky, and then asked Beck to lie to them regarding the bedbug situation, knowingly, potentially bringing them into someone else's home and infesting the place. Eventually, Beck told their roommates the truth, and Eric and Amber had a huge fight. I would have been pissed too, as bedbugs can easily transfer. But that's just what Amber does. She always ensures that herself and her needs are put above all else, and she will certainly lie to keep things that way. Number 67. Displaying the same behaviors as Dakota. Although this list is about Amber's behavior and wrongdoings, we still need to talk about Dakota. Beck's now ex-fiancé, who the audience recently discovered has a very problematic past, which includes talking to teenagers in a flirtatious manner on social media when she was an adult. Dakota's online footprint contains cuddle applications from very young teens and CP jokes and references that have made our stomachs churn. Although I was once rooting for this couple when Beck first announced their engagement, I am now relieved that they are allegedly separated. Now, Amber recently addressed this in a live stream, seemingly giddy that the heat was now under someone else instead of her, claiming that she somehow knows that Dakota and Beck are still together, and saying that Dakota is sick and a weirdo. The latter is indeed correct, but I am about to point out why Amber is throwing that stone from a glass house. How can she sit there so smugly on her high horse when she has done numerous things that put her in the very same category as Dakota? Amber filmed 15-year-old Libby in the shower and in a towel, asked her to show her audience her bathing suit, deliberately made out with Destiny in front of her, made sexual jokes, telling Libby that she could sleep in the bed with them, thought that her and 20-year-old Nick were cute together, talked about sex in front of her, said she was mature for her age. The list goes on. Amber has also shown interest in dating younger people multiple times. Although not always illegal, Casey was still in high school when he was with Amber. Destiny was barely legal when they got together. And during the Casey era, 19-year-old Amber was allegedly trying to date a 16-year-old, which we will get into later. And lastly, more recently, Amber was caught following a horrendous PDF account on Instagram, then quietly deleted the Libby videos right after. Over 1 million views worth of content gone. Suspiciously, just as the Ankle was approaching vlogs from around that time for his retro reacts. I won't make Amber following that account its own listing because we simply cannot prove whether it was an accidental follow or not, but I still need to mention it here. Point being, while Dakota was being a sicko online, Amber was being a sicko in person. I'm not trying to compare the two as they are both disgusting, but I'm just pointing out how, once again, Amber is the pot calling the kettle black. And these next couple of listings will also show you why that is. Number 68, defending creepy Nick. So, in case you forgot, when Amber started dating Destiny, Amber was 25, Destiny was 19, and Destiny's friend/roommate's little sister, Libby, was 15. Libby's sister seemed often absent in the vlogs, so Libby spent most of her time with Amber and Destiny. To be fair, Destiny was also an adult and shared responsibility, but Amber was by far the oldest. One night while out to eat, a 20-year-old man named Nick randomly asked to sit with them. Nick was a musician, and Amber immediately fell in love with his music.
And we buried you in the garden, and now you're laying next to Grandma.
That needs to go on Spotify.
Yeah, I know. It's going on the next album.
They immediately became friends, and throughout the vlogs, the viewers grew more concerned. There were sexual jokes and conversations. Amber was commenting as though Nick and Libby were love interests. Nick was putting his arm behind Libby in the car and forcing her to play a stupid hand-slapping game that she did not feel comfortable playing. At one point, Amber commented that Nick and Libby would hang out without Amber or Destiny present. Amber then defended Nick when questions and speculation arose, saying that he just turned 20 and Libby was almost 16, and that nothing was going on between them. Recently, Beck said that Amber had mentioned to them that Nick did indeed have a crush on Libby, and when Beck mentioned that it was inappropriate, Amber just said that Nick was a good guy. No matter how you try to explain it to people, no matter how mature someone is, it was simply wrong. Number 69. Crushing on underage celebrities. Beck has recently disclosed that Amber had a very inappropriate crush on Billie Eilish during their relationship. You may be thinking, it's just a hypothetical celebrity crush, big deal. Well, according to Beck, they, along with Eric and Ricky, told Amber that it was weird. Then Amber told them that she was almost an adult and looked and acted older, so it was okay. This was apparently around the time Billie Eilish was just starting to make it big. She was 14 at the start of her career. Amber was in her late 20s when she got with Beck. This reminds me of an old clip from Amber's vlogs where Amber and Destiny were watching Roseanne, and Destiny told the audience that Amber would be a PDF file towards Darlene. Just because Amber sees herself as a teenager doesn't make her one, and doesn't excuse behavior like this. Number 70. Cheating on Casey with multiple women. Although Amber claims she hasn't cheated since before the Casey era, because the whole Crystal thing was an open relationship situation type deal, I, for one, beg to differ. Before Amber and Casey met in person, Amber had hooked up with another girl in a hot tub. Then, after moving in with Casey, Amber was talking to a girl named Julia. I don't know how Amber does it. I suppose by victimizing herself to naive, kind people. But these women that Amber would talk to online would all send her gifts and money. Then came Crystal, who did the same thing, even paying for Amber's phone bill and new piercings. Amber claims that the situation with Crystal was a consensual open relationship, but I'm pretty sure all parties need to consent to that. And according to the Facebook screenshots from around that time, Casey was clearly not having it. Number 71. Flirting with a 16-year-old when she was 19. So, piggybacking onto the last listing, the Julia situation needs its own spot entirely, and I'm going to explain why. When Amber was talking to and seemingly trying to build a relationship with Julia online, Amber was 19 and Julia was 16. Now, I can't say if this was illegal or not. I don't know what state Julia lived in and the age of consent there, but for the love of God, there is a horrific pattern here. Number 72. Claiming to not be that person while being that person. Amber has claimed over and over again that there is so much she can say, but chooses not to because she is not that person, and then every single time ends up being that person. Now, if someone is talking about you, then you have every right to respond to it, but Amber always ends up scraping the bottom of the barrel with random stories that often have nothing to do with her or the situation being discussed. For example, Amber's exes often come out and share their experiences with Amber, but then Amber will pull whatever she can out of her ass to make them look bad. But they are more often than not so irrelevant to the conversation, which makes her look even worse. When Destiny came forth and talked about her relationship with Amber from her perspective, Amber then told us about how Destiny had to have her dog put down in a very tragic way because of behavioral issues it had. When Beck returned to YouTube to share their side of their relationship with Amber, Amber brought up a photo that Eric posted to Facebook years ago of Beck's ex's underwear. And most recently, when Alexis was talking about her friendship with Amber and how Amber took advantage of her friendship, Amber told us that Alexis does a lot of a particular illegal substance. Once again, besides the point. Although I could believe it, I don't think she had to be that specific. Which brings us to the next instance that deserves its own listing. Number 73. Bringing up Destiny's family and paternity drama. In the summer of 2023, Destiny briefly returned to YouTube to share her side of what went on during their relationship. During a live stream, viewers wanted Destiny to call Amber, and she did. The conversation inevitably got heated, and Amber brought up Destiny's paternity drama as well as her brother's cocaine addiction, right after saying that she has so much tea, but she's not that person. Again, completely random and irrelevant subject matter. She then acted like she didn't even know Destiny was live, but I personally don't buy it. Number 74. Filming a TikTok while Beck picked out a gravestone. After Norma lost her battle with cancer, Beck drove hours to meet up with their siblings to pick out a gravestone for their deceased mother, and Amber accompanied Beck for the car ride. Beck was clearly emotional this day and looked to be holding back tears. Before they left the apartment, Amber filmed a TikTok video while getting ready. Then, while waiting in the car, as her partner picked out a headstone, she filmed another TikTok video. Hardly the time to do so, especially after claiming to be emotional about the situation in her vlog. She didn't look very emotional in those TikToks though. Like always, she just looked like a damn fool. Number 75. Putting multiple exes in the psych ward. For this final listing of part 3, I would just like to point out that Amber's abuse towards her partners landed 2 of them in the psych ward. Casey claims that he was verbally, emotionally, and physically abused by Amber. Amber cheated on him multiple times and treated him and his mother like trash, going as far as to put her hands on him, leaving marks that alarmed Casey's friends at school. I will be elaborating on this more in part 4. After Amber left him, his self-worth was practically non-existent. Casey had to be put into a mental hospital and go through therapy sessions. He was asked by a therapist to compose a list of what it was like being with Amber. The list included: always cuddle her, speak when spoken to, and it's normal to be hit. And then we have Beck, who we all know was manipulated and mistreated heavily by Amber, to the point where they weren't there for their dying mother like they should have been. That guilt was eating away at them. And then on top of that, Amber, oh so smugly, left Beck destitute, and Beck spent 5 days in the psych ward as well. Now, to be fair, these two certainly had other struggles they had been dealing with, whether it be identity crisis, grief, etc. However, I personally believe that being with Amber is ultimately what put them there.
And then I get another text. I have video proof of you being terrible to me. Yes. A video proof of me reacting to your betrayal, me unmedicated with BPD. Correct.
Yeah, I'm sorry for fucking going absolutely insane and unhinged due to... I just don't want to talk about it anymore.
And I followed you in there with my BPD meltdown, my tantrum. My pain turned me into a monster because of what you did.
It has nothing to do with me. I don't care what I did while hurting. I don't care. I don't.
Sending Norma awful voice notes after her surgery. Let us begin this episode with something extra terrible, shall we? As we all know, Beck's mother battled cancer for quite a while, and throughout her treatment, both Amber and Beck claimed that the process affected Norma's mood as well as her mind, which created conflict between her and her loved ones at times, which is believable. However, that is certainly not an excuse for what Amber did. As Norma was recovering from surgery, Amber left her some less than supportive voice memos that were later leaked to the internet. I'm just going to play some portions rather than describe them so you can hear for yourself.
I'm tired of not being appreciated when I try to help you the best that I can. And it's just frustrating. This whole situation is super
Amberlynn talking
frustrating.
to Becky's mom
And I
right
finally
after
just
she
kind of
had
wanted
her
to
surgery.
speak
I'm going to put it out
upon
there how
the situation.
Amberlynn really treated Becky's mom. Don't let her fool everyone, please.
I am just tired of the added drama onto my YouTube, and I'm tired of not being appreciated when I try to help you the best that I can, and it's just frustrating.
So she wanted to speak on a situation that became about her when Norma had just got out of surgery.
You know, we don't have to really go down the line of, oh, you didn't message me, because I can say the same about you, where not once have you thanked me personally for the money I was going to give you. Not once did you say sorry for any of the things that you have brought to my channel that is in a negative light.
Yeah, that was hardly the time to do that, to say the very least. Imagine how confident Amber had to be to talk to her partner's mother like that during a devastating time, knowing that Beck would stay by her side. And honestly, shame on Beck for allowing it. However, we must take into account how tremendously medicated, manipulated, and mistreated Beck was at the time. Amber assuredly made plenty of money at that point and could have helped Norma out with her medical bills if she wanted to. This wasn't the last time Amber would promise someone in that family money and not give it to them. Number 77. Constantly exhibiting laziness. The examples of this one are infinite, so I sadly cannot point out every single one. However, here are some examples that Amber has exhibited throughout her YouTube career, in no particular order, that immediately come to my mind. Claiming she loves doing dishes while continuously using disposable single-use plates and utensils. Filming her partner's cleaning while she just sits there. Hiding in the bathroom at work. Leaving her mobility scooters in the parking lot. Not brushing her hair. Not showering. Using a mattress in the living room. Letting her litter box overflow. Using training pads on the floor for Twinkie. Making Beck drive her places and get her food even during their renal failure. Begging Destiny to take her to the store and to take out her trash. Relying on her mother to take her wherever she needs to go. Uploading a majority of sit-down Q&A based content. Taking an excessive amount of breaks from YouTube. Canceling her members' live streams more and more frequently. And when she does stream, leaving the audience with the ceiling for far too long, which I will elaborate more on later. I could go on, but we would be here all night. Number 78. Blaming Beck for her festering cancer. In part 2, I listed the fact that Amber fell right back into all of her bad habits right after cancer, despite her still weaponizing her cancer for sympathy any chance she gets. Even after Jade moved in and seemingly catered to her every need, Amber still remained very salty toward Beck, speaking negatively of Beck, trying to embarrass Beck, rubbing her new relationship in everyone's face, etc. And one Instagram Q&A in particular took a very asinine turn. Someone asked Amber if she thinks her cancer journey would have been different if she was with her current girlfriend. Now that I look at it, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if she sent herself this question, but I digress. Amber responded with, quote, "I would have went to the doctor sooner. I wouldn't have ever waited till I was bleeding to death to be rushed to the ER." Unquote. She continued to explain that Beck didn't seem concerned, and that Jade would have forced her to go to the gyno right away. First of all, no one can make Amber do something she doesn't want to do. Second, why the hell is it anyone else's responsibility but her own? Beck has responded to this multiple times now, claiming that damn near everyone in Amber's life that knew about her bleeding told her to go see an OBGYN, but she just continuously refused. I strongly believe that Beck would have chosen driving Amber to an appointment over dragging a fucking mattress back and forth between the living room and the spare bedroom over and over again. Amber to this day claims that Beck didn't care about her cancer, despite them not seeing their dying mother because they were taking care of her instead. All for Amber to go on to support someone who famously faked cancer. Number 79. Supporting Boogie. In January of 2021, Nikocado Avocado, of all people, whom Amber was in communication with at the time, heavily implied in a mukbang that Amber was perhaps faking or exaggerating her cancer. Now, unless he shows text messages or something, I don't care to entertain that rumor. The point being, Amber was pissed. Understandably, because faking cancer for sympathy and attention is an appalling, despicable, pathetic act. And anyone who does such a thing doesn't deserve support of any kind. What the hell is this? Amber was spotted sending super chats to LOLCal Live and trying to get Boogie's attention. Apparently, Amber is a fan of Boogie. For those who are unaware, this man has been on YouTube for almost 20 years, and his internet presence has just descended into an infamous downward spiral. And more recently, the man faked cancer for 2 years and scammed his entire audience. I never looked into the details of it because he just disgusts me, but it is a well-known fact that he indeed faked cancer. When asked in one of her lives regarding the hypocrisy of her supporting this man, Amber just said, quote, "I just don't get offended with shit like that," end quote. Number 80. Disregarding her partner's sexuality and identity. I've noticed multiple examples of this and wanted to compile them here, as well as Amber's very blatant hypocrisy regarding this topic. Let's begin when Casey first came out to Amber as trans. Amber got offended because she likes girls, not boys, showing no empathy to Casey. And then, years later, she filmed herself goofing off at work, making fun of Casey for binding. Throughout Amber's YouTube career, she was always adamant about being a full-blown lesbian, and would feel shamed whenever a viewer questioned that. Then, while with Beck claims that Amber would tell them that they would be the one proposing, and that at their wedding they would be wearing a suit, not even considering Beck's feelings. And then after their breakup, Amber had the absolute gall to accuse Beck of keeping her in the closet, only because Jade was polyamorous, and Amber was going along with it at the time in desperation to hold on to Jade, despite viewers claiming that Amber had a trail of biphobia behind her. Now, let me make it very clear. No one gives a flying f*** whether Amber is gay or bi. She can do whatever or whoever she wants. However, her not only questioning but dictating her partner's sexuality and identity while being very inconsistent with her own is gross. Don't get offended when people simply ask questions when you had a pretty significant crush on Eric back in the day. The point I'm trying to make here is that Amber thinks that she can do whatever she wants whenever she wants. But her partners, on the other hand, have to portray themselves how Amber wants them to. Number 81. Flirting with a taken woman. Again. I know what you may be thinking. Haven't we gone over this already? Multiple times? Oh, no. You see, Amber has been involved in cheating scandals so many times, we haven't gotten to all of them yet. We've gone over her cheating multiple times during the Casey era, then being the other woman when first talking to Destiny, who was engaged, and Lord knows we've thoroughly covered the love triangle from hell with Erica and her wife Brittany. This particular listing, however, is about Danielle. Danielle was the first long-distance summer fling rebound after Jade dumped Amber, but was still living with her for a hot minute due to the apartment lease. According to Alexis, Danielle is very attractive and would just drive Amber wild. Inconveniently though, Danielle has also been in a relationship for around a decade or so, and was not only communicating with Amber, but also hooking up with other people simultaneously. What a lovely, respectful person she sounds like. Why wouldn't Amber want to involve herself with such a gem of a woman? Apparently, this girl was always Amber's first choice, but the games Danielle kept playing with her made it difficult. Between the hookups and her not keeping consistent communication, Amber got pissed. Then came Abby, then Erica, and even Emily. All while Amber was allegedly still holding out hope for this chick Danielle. Alexis even came out of retirement in Karina Kaboom's comments giving her 2 cents, claiming that she believes Amber still talks to Danielle to this day. Amber even pulled Alexis to the side while the friends were double dating in Wisconsin and told her that Danielle had contacted her yet again. Who knows? Point being, both Amber and Danielle are wrong for this. Okay, I think that might be all of the infidelities that we know of. Oh, wait, there's more. Number 82. Speaking to a married woman after the Destiny breakup. So, we have had yet another instance recently come forth, even with some text message receipts provided by Destiny. After Destiny broke up with Amber and began dating Dana very shortly after, Amber immediately began talking to multiple people, seemingly in desperate search of a new partner, according to Destiny, one of whom was married with grandchildren. When Destiny found out about this, she told Amber to leave that messy situation alone, but she, of course, continued to pursue it. That is, until Beck came along. Number 83. Being in love with Destiny while with Beck. In those same text messages we just discussed, you can see Amber being extremely codependent with Destiny right after the breakup. Viewers noticed her need to still keep Destiny within close reach, texting and video chatting, relying on Destiny to help her with errands and chores, willingly being the third wheel and tagging along with her and Dana whenever she could. And then, even after obtaining a relationship of her own, Amber insisted on frequently going on double dates, inviting Destiny and Dana over to visit, and even offering financial assistance here and there. Many audience members began accusing Amber of still being in love with Destiny despite now being in a serious relationship with Beck, to which she obviously denied, until years later in November of 2020, not long after Amber and Beck moved into the Lexington apartment, where Amber casually admitted in a Q&A that yes, for the first year and a half or so of her relationship with Beck, she was indeed still in love with Destiny. Let me remind you that this was after all of the financial abuse, Beck's renal failure, their mother's passing, and Beck taking care of Amber both before and during her cancer. Amber now chose this particular question to answer and admitted that she emotionally cheated throughout half of their damn relationship, humiliating Beck in the process. I suppose it's okay when Amber does it. Number 84. Flexing finances while claiming she can't afford help. So in my last upload, I calculated approximately how much money Amber spends on useless non-essentials each month, while claiming that she cannot afford weight loss surgery, inpatient, or even the weight loss injection she wants. With the GLP-1 being her current supposed goal, I compared her spending to the estimated highest cost without insurance per month. And to no one's surprise, the medication was only half the cost of what she spent on Legos, Torrid, and blind boxes that month. I also did not include any takeout. If I only saw this at surface level, I would say that she is a grown woman, she earns her money fair and square, and if she wants to prioritize useless nonsense over her health and healing, then let her die young if she wants to. Why should we care if she doesn't? However, the part that I have a problem with is her manipulating her audience into thinking that she can't afford the medical help that she needs when she damn sure can. In my opinion, she just doesn't want to set up a budgeting system in which she has to discipline herself in any way. She likes to be able to see it, want it, and buy it with no exceptions. But what good is that when your series finale is steadily approaching? So to those who are currently throwing $10 a month at her for canceled live streams, wonky schedules, and prolonging ceiling shots, it is certainly your choice, but I will never understand it. Number 85. Manipulating and villainizing Aunt Tammy. This one is a throwback to a situation that I honestly didn't know very much about until I came across this excellent deep dive by Septa7. So for context and backstory, without diving too deep because it's very messy, as we all know, Amber came from an incredibly dysfunctional family. Now, her mother seems to have finally turned her life around, which we see glimpses of through Amber's vlogs, and I am genuinely happy for her and I like the person that she appears to be now. However, before she focused on healing, which was only in recent years, her mom did some very horrible things. And her mother, Amber's grandmother, also did some very horrible things. Amber has talked about some particular instances herself, but I'd rather not get into that right now. Point being, when those two were choosing to fester in the results of their poor choices, Amber's Aunt Tammy tried distancing herself for her own well-being. Before Amber and her mom lived with the grandmother, they lived with Tammy. But her mom's drug use and behavior was just too much, and Amber continued to defend her mother unconditionally. Tammy had done all she could to help her family, but realized it was just affecting her own healing journey and she had to set boundaries. A couple years later, when Amber created her YouTube channel, Tammy was the only family member that Amber was talking to at the time, and would even participate in Amber's Q&As and such. Amber's mom became homeless around this time, and Tammy was helping provide her with food and other essentials. However, Amber started complaining to her audience that Tammy wasn't doing enough. Amber wanted Tammy to take her mom back into her home, but at the time, Amber's mom was still a violent drug addict. My question is, Amber was a grown woman here, paying no rent, no car payments, no bills, nothing. Getting an absurdly generous and downright ridiculous allowance from Crystal's parents of around $1,400 a month. Why couldn't she do anything to help her own mother? During the Destiny era, Amber's mom was in prison, and Tammy gave Amber the information needed to write to her mom, but she never did, because of the pain her mom had put her through. Even after her mom found out that she had cancer in prison, Amber still didn't write. To be fair, Amber's decision was justified, as Amber didn't know her mother anything at that time. But the issue here is that she was allowed to distance herself from her mother, but she shamed her Aunt Tammy for trying to do the same thing. And then Amber uploaded a video titled, "My Aunt Left Me Because I'm Fat," which was total bullshit. Tammy had lost a lot of weight, tried to help Amber do the same. Amber didn't listen and Tammy got fed up. But the reasons Tammy distanced herself from Amber go far beyond that. Amber was now mad that Tammy was talking to Amber's mom, but not her. Amber's mom was finally working on herself at this point, and Tammy feared that Amber would just guilt trip her mom and negatively affect her progress. Aunt Tammy even did an interview on Kiwi Farms after this, pointing out even more of Amber's lies. It was pretty hecticana. All I have to say after that is, I am happy that Amber's aunt and mother have both focused on healing. Your turn, Amber. Number 86. Making everything about herself. Like Amber's laziness, the examples showcasing this one are quite vast. However, Salty Crab brought attention to this particular event that I found very interesting, and pathetic as hell. Also stemming from Destiny's text message tea with Beck. So at the end of 2020, Destiny and Dana visited the couple in their new Lexington apartment for Beck's birthday. They did not come back for Amber's birthday because Beck had specific plans for that. New Year's Eve came along, and Dana and Destiny mentioned coming to visit again in their group chat, but then realized a few minutes later that they might not be able to make it. Shit happens when you're an adult. Plans change. Amber was still sleeping at this point, but Beck gave a simple, "Okay, just let us know." Amber wakes up and asks, "So what's making you guys not want to come over?" "No tea, no shade, but we didn't do anything for my birthday." Destiny and Dana responded, saying that maybe Saturday they can stop by because it's Destiny's nephew's birthday and they want to take him somewhere in Lexington. Dana attempted to mediate, and then Amber joked that Destiny would rather be with her nephew on his birthday than go visit them. I don't understand what's funny about that, but I digress. Then Dana explains that this is a hard day for Destiny because it was her recently deceased mother's birthday, saying, "Whatever keeps her happy today, really." Perfectly understandable. I'm sure Amber will understand. I get that, but it makes me feel pretty shitty. Beck then says, "Just let Destiny know we love her. I had a hard time on my mom's birthday too. If y'all decide to come, I'll cook dinner." Wow, that was very sweet of Beck to say. Or we can order something. I want to pig out. Then Dana and Destiny's car wouldn't start, to which Amber responded with, "Sounds like y'all shouldn't drive super far anyhow." Okay, Amber, that was actually an understandable and appropriate response. Surely this should be the end of the conversation. I just got done bawling my eyes out because I'm scared for my health. I'm so sad. I need you guys. I need to laugh. I need to have fun. What an insufferable f***ing. There's even more about Amber being jealous of the nephew's birthday cake, but guys, I don't have the strength. Number 87. Orchestrating Beck for the vlogs. We've discussed Amber using her partners for content and clicks, sometimes even against their wills, in the past. One thing that has caught my attention is that Beck recently claimed that Amber would go as far as to orchestrate them before hitting record. Take this video from 2018, where Beck is clearly very sick, but the couple had plans that day to go out. At one point, Amber asked Beck on camera if they're feeling up to going, because if not, she could just go by herself. Beck says that this portion of the vlog was completely planned, because Beck was so visibly sick, Amber wanted to appear considerate, so she told Beck what to say. In reality, Amber wasn't able to go anywhere by herself, and she knew it, so Beck never had a choice. Knowing this, there was one instance where Beck opened up to Amber's audience talking about their young nephew who tragically passed away. Amber claimed in a title card that Beck did this without her knowledge, but we clearly see Amber through the window in the background. And then Amber follows up this very emotional footage with an immediate cut to her yapping about food. Amber was very controlling. I doubt that Beck would grab her camera and film it without her permission. If Beck ever returns to YouTube, I would like to ask them about this because I'm just curious. Another small example of this would be the 20-piece McNugget scandal with Destiny, where Destiny told the audience that Amber ordered a 20-piece, and instead of just editing it out, Amber made Destiny lie and tell the audience that she was just joking after the fact. I'm curious though, what happens when Amber isn't in control of what's being filmed? Number 88. What cereal is that? We have finally reached the infamous "what cereal is that" incident. During the Beck era, when the couple was living with Eric and Ricky, Eric decided to start a YouTube channel of his own and start vlogging his life. One very strange and now notorious girl world moment he was able to capture was Amber acting livid over Beck eating a bowl of cereal, angrily whispering, "What cereal is that?" multiple times, and then aggressively waddling out of the room when she discovers that Eric was filming. What the hell was that about? Later, Beck stated that they had planned on starting a diet at the time, but Beck didn't want to waste the last of the Cocoa Puffs they had in the house, and Amber got upset about it. Which could maybe be understandable to an extent if Amber didn't immediately cave on every other diet they had tried to go on together prior to this. The thing is, Amber has to be the one in control, and when someone else makes a decision without her, watch out. Number 89. Making fun of her partner's appearances. I've talked about Amber filming her partners without their knowledge, against their will, and even on the toilet and in the shower. Despite Amber having massive insecurities regarding her own physical appearance, it didn't stop her from pointing out the insecurities of her partners on camera, specifically with the more gentle, submissive partners she's had. We mentioned her making fun of Casey for binding. Then with Crystal, she would point out her thin hair on multiple occasions, as well as her lazy eye. Side note, the awkward clips of Amber and Crystal talking softly in their bedroom really give off toxic friend ASMR energy. And of course, she did this with Beck too. One of Beck's biggest insecurities was their chin, and Amber would always play with it on camera. She would also film Beck from unflattering angles, knowing that they made Beck uncomfortable. Beck would even mention it, and Amber just kept filming. There is a moment that people have pointed out multiple times when Amber talked about how she thinks people with round faces look bad with short hair, and the look on Beck's face is so heartbreaking. And we are all very well aware of the infamous fanny pack moment in Walmart, where Amber told Beck that they needed to lose weight, despite Amber being twice their size. As far as I can remember, Amber never dared to try this with Destiny or Jade, because I feel like they were more comfortable matching Amber's energy and not taking her shit. Despite people online pointing out every flaw, I don't know if Amber could handle those comments that well in person. Number 90. Ignoring her disruptive hygiene. So I was never going to touch on her hygiene in this list, as it seemed to be a bit too personal, but while compiling the series and learning more and more, it is evident that she deliberately ignored these issues, despite them affecting those around her, which is wrong because she always had the ability to change her situation for the better and just chose not to. Therefore, I'm bringing it up. Casey and his mom admitted in a live stream that showering was hard to get her to do. Then, Destiny admitted that the entire time they were living with Destiny's mother, Amber didn't shower because she was afraid to swing her leg over the side of the tub. Then, Beck said that Amber's hygiene affected everyone around her as well as others' personal belongings, and that she would just wear a lot of perfume. As I've mentioned previously on the list, both Destiny and Beck had to spend hours untangling Amber's unkempt hair on multiple occasions. Amber, understandably embarrassed, claimed that everyone was simply making fun of her cancer symptom, but that is not at all the case. I'm not making fun of her for not physically being able to fit into a shower or anything of that sort. What I'm pointing out is her refusal to put any effort into bettering her situation when she was always able to do so, despite it affecting those around her to such an alarming extent. Number 91. Lying to her audience about her medical history. I take great pride in my videos. They are certainly not perfection, but I put countless hours into each and every one. One thing, though, that I refuse to do is comb through and attempt to dissect Amber's medical history timeline. I simply do not have the time, strength, or mental capacity. Between her lies, countless alleged doctors, diagnosis, misdiagnosis, medications, all weaved into a very tangled web of her lies, I just can't do it. Luckily though, we have channels like Apathetic Facts. Just weeks ago, Amber announced to her audience that she had a brand new diagnosis, hypothyroidism, claiming that the last time she had her thyroid checked was when she was 15. Well, the Amberverse sleuths got to work and found a slew of clips where Amber mentions getting her thyroid tested. If Amber doesn't want to share her medical updates, she doesn't have to, but the inconsistencies in what she has presented are undeniable. And this is one of the many reasons why people cannot believe a word she says. Number 92. Excuses, excuses, excuses. When it comes to Amber struggling to better her health, I've noticed that the woman collects excuses like infinity stones. Now, as you may have noticed, I will always try to give credit where it is due, and Amber will show glimmers of self-awareness here and there, acknowledging that her health is a mess and that it is indeed her fault, which to me makes her a tad more tolerable than the Tess Holidays of the internet, for instance. However, Amber buffers these comments with so much delusion it damn near cancels out any moment of realization. Because making excuses for things is taking the easy way out, which we all know is Amber's favorite way. Whether it's her trauma, her lymphedema, her lipedema, her hysterectomy, her genetics, or most recently, her hypothyroidism, Amber is sure to have these excuses on standby, and completely ignore the fact that exercise and a nutrient-dense diet would remarkably help with these reasons. Number 93. Complaining about her insanely privileged job. Again, y'all know I will always try to be fair, and from time to time, Amber will acknowledge her privileged job and claim that she is grateful for it. But just like the previous listing, in between these glimmers of supposed gratitude, she will say things that contradict those statements entirely, showing her true colors and pissing off a good chunk of her audience. More recently, while recovering from cellulitis, she had the gall to say that if she had a normal job, she would be told to stay home and rest. I got very triggered, and I firmly believe that people are responsible for their own triggers, so it's certainly my burden to bear. However, I'm still going to rant for a second, because Amber doesn't seem to know how sick days work. Most of us peasants, at least in the US, are not given that much PTO, and many of us can't afford to stay home every time we are not feeling well. And in more serious cases, we hold off issues because of it. I literally have bone growing out of the back of my heel from working on my feet for the last 10 years straight. A normal job, according to Amber. If I wanted to get surgery on it, it would be a gamble, because the recovery time could be up to a year. And even though I opted for the best benefits package with my job because of my health issues, the check that I would receive in recovery would not be nearly enough to cover my rent, because I got stuck overpaying for an apartment that I despise with every fiber of my being, and I am desperately trying to move out when my lease is up. However, I cannot move to a more affordable area if I am not able to transfer locations with my company, because that is another stressful factor of having a normal job that Amber doesn't have to worry about. How dare this quarter-ton woman, who lives in a world of delusion, come on here and complain about making 5 figures a month for doing nothing but sit on her ass and act a damn fool, when I'm willing to bet that a massive chunk of her audience is on the same boat as me, living in the harsh, real world. While many of us live off of ramen noodles, this woman DoorDashes cups of ice. Again, delusion. Also, she went to bingo and the movies just fine in that very same vlog. PSA, please know that although I do share some unfortunate tidbits from my personal life, I am certainly not a victim. Unlike Amber, I am working my ass off to better my life, and I am confident that I can do it in time. Thank you for watching and supporting my content, as that is certainly helping. Number 94. Bashing the people who pay her bills. On YouTube, you can't please everyone, but Amber has chosen to make toxicity her brand at this point, garnering an entire community that watches her every move. Here in the Amberverse, Amber claims that she's paying everyone else's bills, but I believe it is quite the opposite. Without the community, Amber wouldn't be making the money she makes. However, Amber will still bite the hand that feeds. Now, being frustrated with hate comments and reaction channels is understandable, but Amber will even shit on those who support her, as she has always mistaken advice, criticism, and concern for hate. Exhibit A, Shrimpgate, in which Amber villainized her audience, who were disappointed in her gaining weight and posting frequent mukbangs for clicks, many of whom subscribed to her to support her on her weight loss journey and wanted her to succeed. Their frustrations were valid, and they had every right to voice their opinions, but Amber saw it as an attack and decided to strike back with a shrimp ring. She lost thousands of subscribers because of this video. Then we have Exhibit B, the Strawberry Hill Cakegate Tantrum, in which Amber was opening gifts from her P.O. box and got very triggered over some baked goods that were sent to her. Except the sender wasn't doing it to troll, they were a supporter who sent the sweets with good intentions. She buffered the clip in question with voiceovers declaring that she wants to be an advocate against fat phobia. It's very stupid now knowing the context. To be fair, is it the best idea to send a 600-pound woman food, even with pure intent? No, it isn't. But Amber could have politely asked people not to send her food because it is triggering. She didn't need to go off on this poor fan, throwing the pie across the room, and the poor company who baked these desserts. Especially when just a few weeks prior to this happening, she was gladly accepting and eating an array of foreign candy bars someone had sent her P.O. box. She was in pure ecstasy then, but for some reason, the cake triggered her. I guess her food contamination anxieties had not yet developed because, in my opinion, eating food from complete strangers in the mail when so many people dislike you is quite bold. Let's end this listing with Exhibit C, channel memberships. Amber charges $10 a month for them, which is quite expensive for a membership. That's more than the lowest Netflix subscription, originally in exchange for an exclusive live stream once a week. However, she has been canceling and rescheduling her streams more and more often, and informing members that she will be changing the schedule and price, all to just change her mind and go with something completely different. Shortly after she canceled one of her more recent streams, claiming it was because she had received bad news, her members were worried about her, until she posted a photo of her at bingo shortly after. I will likely have to elaborate on these particular events later on in this never-ending series, won't I? Number 95, Rarity. Okay, here we go. One question currently trending again is, what the hell happened to Rarity? When Amber had her mom drive her and her 3 pets across the country to visit Emily in Wisconsin, viewers assumed the trip would only last a few weeks tops. But months into her stay, Amber was not mentioning going back home, and we were all beginning to wonder, is she going back to Oklahoma? A lost cat poster began circulating, as the cat in question alarmingly looked like Rarity, and was lost in Emily's town. Amber then confirmed to her audience that it was indeed her cat Rarity. She continued to explain that after letting the dogs out at around 5 a.m., she didn't close the door all the way after they came back inside, despite the harsh winter weather outside. People questioned this from the jump. Amber was even speaking about Rarity in past tense. Months passed, and Amber continued to clickbait Rarity updates, but never gave any new information. And sadly, to our knowledge, Rarity was never found. Then, Emily recently entered the chat, claiming that Amber lost her cat right after Emily told her she needed to go back to Oklahoma. My guess is that her and Emily got into a fight early in the morning as Emily was getting ready for work. That's when Emily told her she needed to go home. And then, after she left the house, Rarity somehow disappeared. And then, even more speculation arose when this account posted that Amber had passed away. Members of the community swear up and down that this is one of Amber's accounts. However, I don't have proof of that. But, if it is, it would be her attempting to change the subject. Many are speculating that she also had the latest subreddit deleted to keep people quiet as well. No matter what happened, we've known for years that this woman should not have pets. But of course, Amber rubbed salt into the wound by hinting that she may be getting a new kitten named Romeo. If so, pray for that cat. Number 96. Allegedly putting her hands on Emily. Okay, first and foremost, I have to be completely transparent and make it known that I do not agree with how this information was obtained. However, it was indeed exposed to the community, and some potential evidence has piled up, so I will try to acknowledge it in the most respectful way that I can, while still showing the proof, because you know I always need my receipts. Allegedly, someone who has remained anonymous began talking to Emily on Instagram, and a supposed connection and trust built over time. I will not share the very personal conversation, but what eventually resulted was Emily admitting that her altercations with Amber were, quote, more than just words. Alexis then chimed in, as she does, claiming that while hanging out with the couple in Wisconsin, Emily mentioned something of that nature happening between them, but then Amber cut her off. However, Amber did confirm to Alexis that something happened. Any details will have to be shared by Emily when and if she chooses to do so. What I would like to do now is look back and point out what Amber was presenting to her audience around the time that this was all likely happening. Promoting the DV hotline. How incredibly ironic. Emily was now the latest addition to the ever-growing list of partners who were mistreated by Amber. Please don't get it twisted, Emily is certainly no angel, and she chose to pursue Amberlynn despite the plethora of information regarding her problematic past available online. However, if this did happen, then she is one of Amber's victims. Amber's mistreatment is now an undeniable pattern. Perhaps the most concerning thing about this coming to light is that no one was surprised in the slightest. Number 97. Acting vile toward Beck during livestream era. We've covered Amber promising to pay back for the live streams they did together, knowing she was never going to. But here I want to focus on how Amber treated Beck during said live streams. A couple months ago, Mr. Snowflake released his highly anticipated Beck episode of his Victims of an Empath series, and in it, he perfectly documented just how horrible Amber treated Beck in general. But I found myself specifically growing more and more infuriated with each clip compiled from the livestream era. It went from Amber heavily victimizing herself after the breakup, desperately trying to guilt trip and cling onto Beck, to Amber being visibly upset whenever Beck would get a positive comment from someone in the chat, to Amber verbalizing on multiple occasions that she was paying Beck for the live stream when she knew she wasn't going to Amber jumping into a relationship with Jade and aggressively rubbing it in Beck's face, just gushing over her belief that Jade was a much better partner than Beck ever was. All leading up to Amber kicking Beck to the curb, financially destitute with no remorse. As upsetting as that era is to watch to this day, it holds a lot of damning evidence that shows just how badly Amber treated Beck in general. It's valid to feel heartbroken after being broken up with, and to hold some resentment, but Amber was just so spiteful. And it's awkward for her to be so spiteful while simultaneously begging Beck to stay in the apartment, live stream with her for views, and even sleep in the same bed. Even before they broke up, when they would go live as a couple, Amber was rude to Beck even then. One instance in particular stood out to many. Number 98. Disrespecting Beck's beliefs after their mother died. I've seen comments referring to this one, but have never seen the clip, so I asked you guys to help me find it, and you did, so thank you very much. In a live stream titled I'm Back from the spring of 2021, Amber and Beck were chatting with the audience, and the conversation dipped in and out of topics of ghosts, spirituality, and the afterlife. I sat through this entire godforsaken stream to gather information, and here is the gist of what happened. It began when someone asked Amber if she's afraid of going to hell, to which Amber said that she doesn't believe in that. Later, Beck mentioned making content talking about ghost stories and paranormal experiences, to which Amber then said that she doesn't think that any of those stories are real. Despite Beck then bringing up a time when Amber refused to help them bring groceries inside because she saw something scary in the hallway. Then the two went back and forth a bit regarding what happens after we die. Then Amber starts listing conspiracies she believes in to prove that she has a wide mental capacity. Beck then brought up multiple examples of experiences that they have had, one of which Ricky also experienced. Amber was completely dismissive, saying that reincarnation, spirits, and angels are all just not real, but adding no reasoning as to why she thinks this. I think that her harsh, dismissive nature is due to her being very insecure in her own beliefs, but I digress. But look, Amber is entitled to her opinions. She has every right to believe or not believe in whatever she wants. But one contributing factor to this particular discussion is that Beck's mother passed away less than a year prior at this point. In fact, there were very sad moments throughout the stream where Beck talked about how they were mourning their mother and trying to adjust to life without her there. Amber doesn't have to believe what Beck does, but she should still respect Beck's beliefs and not be so argumentative and dismissive, especially while Beck was mourning. It's that simple. Number 99. Lying consistently for years. Amber is the boy who cried wolf of YouTube. She has lied so much throughout her career that her viewers simply cannot trust her as far as they can throw her. One of the most damning aspects of Amber's online reputation is her endless slew of confirmed lies. Mr. Snowflake has an ongoing series on his second channel in which he tries to point out every one with receipts, and at this point, it's 7 episodes long and counting. She has gotten criticism since nearly the very beginning, but the Casey allegations that blew up in her face were really what shattered her reputation for good. And then, more and more lies and scandals piled up on top of that in the years following it. She has been caught in lie after lie after lie. She even has multiple videos on her channel admitting that she has lied. And then she has the audacity to feel sorry for herself and get defensive when people don't believe the things she says. Number 100. Convincing herself that people dislike her because she is fat. No matter how many times Amber cries fat phobia, fat shaming, ableism, etc., I just listed out 100 reasons why that is simply not the case. I feel like Amber has convinced herself that she is a good person, but fails to realize that being a good person takes far more effort than being a bad person. It's easy to be selfish, to be inconsiderate, to blame others for your problems, to victimize yourself in every situation. Whereas it takes effort to be patient, to forgive, to be charitable, to think before you speak, to respect your partner, to respect your body, to practice discipline, to not let your past define you. Yes, Amber had a hellish childhood, but the way she speaks about it is as though she is the only person on this earth who has. Countless people have reached their hands out to her and were willing to do anything for her because they saw the potential. All to be manipulated, mistreated, and even scarred for life. Yes, it is frustrating watching someone make so much money doing so little and being so shitty, while I work multiple jobs and can barely make rent. But at the end of the day, this woman's life is miserable. She can't work, she can't drive, she can't travel, she can't be independent in the bathroom, she can't even keep a stable, long-term relationship. But I can't feel too bad for her, because she has been able to change these things the entire time. After all this, do I believe that she can better herself at this point? Shockingly, yes. And the only reason I think that's possible is because Amber's mom did it at a later age. The concern with Amber is that she doesn't have that kind of time. At this rate, if Amberlynn Reid doesn't change, her legacy will merely serve as a cautionary tale and nothing more.
Why is there so much hate? I don't know. I think that people are just really, I don't know. Like, I don't do anything wrong. Like, I'm not a mean person. I'm just here. And no matter what, like, people are just rude. I don't know. I genuinely don't.